What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Weeb Seen It, episode number 10. My name's Cam,
And I'm Jimmy.
and let's get right into the episode. And welcome back, Jimmy, as always.
Yeah.
How are you?
Same as usual. Doing a lot of running around, but that's about it. How about you?
Same as usual, doing nothing.
Nothing wrong with that.
My life is basically workout, watch anime. But this week, PlayStation 5 came out.
That is true. You've been pretty busy with that.
Not
haven't you?
anime related, at least in a certain sense. But, video games, anime, they have like a crossover line.
That is
A
true.
lot of weebs are into both, but I did manage to get my hands on a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
So, and I got it on the Friday, which is the same day that 6 out of these 7 episodes come out. So that's why I didn't watch any of the anime on Friday. I watched it all either today or last night. Because I was just playing, I played Demon Souls, Assassin's Creed, Godfall.
Yeah, you were bouncing around a lot.
Yeah, and I still want to continue playing other games like Monster Hunter and Ghost of Tsushima and this kind of stuff I have for PS4 on the PS5. But that kept me a little bit busy, and it still is. But the nice part is that, each anime episode, if you take away the intro and the outro, it's about, 20 minutes?
Yeah, that's
Something along that line. So when I look at it, 7 episodes of anime, it's only going to take me 2 hours and 20 minutes. I can take that time out of my day, when I have all days off, basically. So if I have to, I could watch it all before the day of recording if I have to. That's at least that's the comfort to me. As worst case scenario, the Sunday or Monday before we film, I'm just going to sit down, eyes on the prize and constantly watch it. But ideally, though, I like the seasons where it's 1 episode a night. Those are my favorite. I miss the hell out of it right now, having all these on Friday. It's not super stressful or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. It's still
But
anime.
yeah, when you're man, I just have this show comes out Monday, this show comes out Tuesday, this show comes out Wednesday, nothing Thursday, this show comes out Friday, this show comes out Saturday. It's just, each night it's just 22 minutes of anime. I always just put it on before bed.
Yeah.
I've also been reading some books, the book series, the Drizzt and
Yeah.
I don't know what the book series is called. Because they don't all have him in them. So I don't know if there's a name for the book series overall.
Yeah, I don't know if they have an overarching title. That's more your realm.
But that means that a lot of my time has also been taken up. I'm doing audiobooks, so listening to these books, which means that that's also something else a night where I'm not watching anime. But that's kind of the nice part, at least if I take that one single night or 2 nights just to watch all the anime we talk about, then I have the other ones to listen to the book. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for hopefully in another season where we have a little bit more spreading, a little more variety in the days they come out, because I just like it so much. I know the days of the week based on what anime comes out, and right now the only day I know is Friday. I'm oh yeah, I know it's a Friday because all of these shows come out. But typically I'm oh, what day is today? Oh, today's when ReZero comes out, it's a Wednesday today. You just know that kind of shit. It's how when you don't do anything do you figure out the days? Anime schedule.
I mean, that works.
I don't know if that's sad or not. I don't know if there's anyone out there that agrees that's how you keep track of your days. But now, yeah, I'm lost. The only day I know is other than I'm hey, it's Monday. It's a chest day. It's chest and triceps today. Other than that, yeah, just anime and the gym are the only thing that keep my schedule, keep me sane. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, PlayStation 5, lots of fun so far, but anime's still good. I just downloaded the Crunchyroll app on the PlayStation 5, and it looks very different.
I can imagine.
I actually like it, though. It's kind of like the phone app for Crunchyroll, but it's a little bit more organized. The very first one is your queue or the continue watching, except for I find it actually every single time the downside of the continue watching is it always puts you with those 2 minutes left of the last episode.
Yeah.
Because, we don't all sit there and watch through the endings.
I mean, even when I do, half the time it's halfway through the episode, or it's you haven't even started this episode yet because I opened up to check the name. It's oh.
Yeah, I had a real big pain in the ass, though, last night. Since the Crunchyroll app is obviously new to PlayStation 5, because PlayStation 5's new,
Right.
I was trying to watch Fire Force, and it would keep doing this thing where it would pop up saying loading while the video froze, but the chat would continue on for a full minute, and then it would mad level fast forward the video to catch up. So it'd just be the scene where everything was going so fast, and I was lost, and then it would be oops, we can't play this, and I have to exit out the episode, and then go back in, and then sometimes it would just be the Crunchyroll app has stopped working, and it would just close the app down by itself.
So they haven't optimized it yet.
So I made it through today I had no issue, but last night I made it through about 10 minutes of Fire Force, and then I had to close it out, and that kind of cut my schedule. I was oh, now I have to watch 5 episodes tomorrow after the gym before the podcast.
Yeah.
But I got it done. But yeah, hopefully they optimize that by next week, by the Friday coming up, so that I can much easier, speed run all my anime.
I mean, you could always spread it out a little bit more.
No, Jimmy. I'm gonna need to speed run it because on Friday it always ends up being Friday is also the day where I go to watch The Mandalorian with friends.
True.
And the other thing is Friday is one of the 2 days off that my wife also has off, And if she wasn't off that day, like if she was working, I would just watch anime throughout the day, like a civilized degenerate. But since she's home, she's like, no, we're not watching anime all day. So then I can't watch anime all day. And then like she's also home Saturday, and then Sundays they record, which is why I typically end up having to watch everything before Sunday.
This makes a little more sense.
Yeah, but one day this will be fixed when they start coming out.
Yeah. But you just have to find that trashy anime you can watch with her again. And
yeah, there's really nothing right now. I was like, I'm trying to think if she watched anything with me, even like a little bit. No, I don't think so. I don't think like nothing on the list really suits her needs. She likes either really fucked up anime. So she liked Future Dire, for instance. She liked King's Raid, and like, not King's Raid. She liked King's Game, and no one likes King's Game.
I didn't hate it. Really.
That, or she likes really girly anime. So there's one called like From Me to You? She watched like, what the hell is it called? Like Blue Spring Ride. She watched a lot like Orange. I don't know if you saw that one where the girl writes herself letters from the future to the past about the guy that she likes going to die.
I heard about that. I never watched.
So yeah, she either likes very, very girly anime, or she likes just like the super, because she's also a horror movie fan, right? So she likes all the fucked up anime.
Basically, you want to watch Talentless Nana and Higurashi with her this season.
I don't think she'd like Higurashi, and I don't know enough about Talentless Nana. Maybe she would like that.
Just try the first episode.
Okay, because I don't think I've told her about Higurashi before, and I think it would annoy her. She normally doesn't like loop, she doesn't like anything with loops. No loops, except for Happy Death Day. She likes Happy Death Day, the horror movie. I don't get either. But her taste aside, none of these things on the list is something that she'll watch. But that's okay because she's not here, so we can talk about them anyways.
True.
So if you're all good, we're just going to get ready started?
Yep.
Okay. Well, before we do that, as every week, non-sponsored, little energy drink cracking open, a little bit of the energy drink ASMR. And as we're cracking this open, I'll say, like always, that if you're watching this, it doesn't matter if it's just one part, if it's the whole thing, make sure to leave a comment down below. Make sure to subscribe, like, hit the bell, all that kind of shit. I hate saying it sometimes, but hey, I'd like views to go up a little bit. Because why not? More people watching. I still think Attack on Titan is going to be a big draw for some people.
It is. The only downside is I think a lot of people are going to be talking about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. If something's really popular, it's like, yeah, it's popular, more people might come in, but there's also such a bigger diversity of people talking about it.
True.
Because Attack on Titan, even now that anime is more popular, it's still one of the big ones that non-anime fans would watch.
Yeah.
That was like what you'd recommend your friend who doesn't watch anime. You're like, hey, you don't like anime, but just watch the first episode of this. It's, it's like Game of Thrones for anime. Yeah,
back when Game of Thrones was good.
Yeah, so that's one of the things. But yeah, so if you have a friend too and they watch any of the ones on this list or an anime coming up, recommend it to them. Just send them a link. Yeah. Other than that, always just follow us on Instagram, that kind of stuff. We just keep updates with when the episodes are out. Not much more content than that. It's just if you like knowing. Typically, they're always going to come in around the same time anyways, but if something goes on, maybe like we have to take another break like we've done before, maybe that's a good place to let people know.
Yeah, life happens, you never know. So
other than that, we're just going to start talking about the episode, and the first thing we're talking about, of course, is the Wednesday anime Noblesse, which was episode 6, and the title was...
Great Power / Rizel.
Okay, makes sense. The guy's name is Rizel.
Yeah.
Okay. I did learn the red hair guy's name, not his full name, but one of his names was Yusuke.
Oh my god, how did we forget that?
I don't know. I feel like it's because he's more referred to as his other name, probably.
True.
I was really tempted. I think before next week, I'm saying it right now, I'm going to be looking up everyone's names for all the anime we talk about, and I'm going to keep a note of it. And then I'm going to learn them so I can start using them properly. That's my goal.
This will be fun.
Yeah, that's the goal. Assuming, I'm not super busy all week. That's what I'm going to try to do. But yeah, this episode is exactly where we left off last time. What's her face is fighting Hammer. Yeah. Sad that I can remember all the villains' names because they have easy ones.
They're just like nicknames, right? So
Frankenstein is fighting.
Tobio.
Tokyo. I think it has a K.
Okay.
Tokyo is the name of the city, though.
I was gonna say,
but I'm pretty sure it has a K. Takio.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah. So he's fighting him in their little epic rooftop battle. And then obviously you just have Rizel coming in to fight Gran, because all the children are in a bad sense. We did get to see Rai fight finally.
Yeah, that was more of a smackdown than a fight.
He mainly used his vampire mind control. Now, at one point, he did use like his blood room thing, where it was just all like, how much blood was there in this room to begin with?
I don't know,
because they're like, oh, he's that's the blood. I'm like, there's so much of it though. This entire room's just filled with it.
Was there even blood? Like, other than the one guy getting slashed, I don't think there was that much blood around.
There wouldn't be that much. Yeah, there'd be maybe some injuries bleeding still on like M21 or M24, or the hell's name is.
Yeah, but even then, like he'd be a husk if he had that much blood pulled out of him.
Yeah, but it was cool seeing him fight. We got to see everybody be super impressed by how OP he was. Now, did he actually beat Gran? Like, did he actually kill him, or like, because then the roof was like broken, like the explosion. I'm like, hey, maybe he fleed.
I feel like it's one of those, this is meant to be ambiguous type scenarios.
Because we don't have any more bad guys. We have no more known bad guys to us. Obviously,
I mean, they were barely bad guys to start with.
I know, but like they were the only ones we were introduced to. Sure. Obviously, they're part of the Union, so there might be an even higher up squad or something along those lines. But we're kind of hinting at that this was like the best squad.
Yeah, it was like a high elite squad sent to just deal with like, what was it, dissidents and
but so Shark and Hammer died. Tao and Takio are now both good guys, and then Granz is dead or Mia. Am I missing anybody from their team?
I don't think so.
I think that's it. Yeah, so I was like, their team's pretty much done for. So I'm like, yeah, like, are we gonna introduce a new team, or are we gonna introduce a whole new like group of bad guys? Maybe we're gonna
I feel like they have to, unless it's just this is gonna turn into some sort of.
I feel like we're for sure gonna get an evil Noblesse eventually, but I don't know if that's gonna be this season. If they're gonna say that for farther down plot, because I don't think
further down, because we have barely gotten to see the Noblesse we have.
Well, the Noblesse, from what we've learned, has like their main rule is that they rule over humans in like a protective sense because they're so weak. But you just know there's going to be a bad one who's like, oh, they're so weak that they don't deserve our gratitude or so. It's just going to be one of those things.
Yeah, somebody who's gone mad with power. There's always one.
I did like the whole, Tao, was commanded to come give him basically, take his pill, take his D, and then I can't say that with a straight face.
I don't get why they had to name it that.
I was literally thinking like it was a reference to like Vampire Hunter D.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised
because they're vampire-y kind of things, and like he's kind of monstery, and even like their skin tone a little bit when they go like the Vampire Hunter thing.
I mean, I guess it even like Vampire Hunter D is like bigger in Japan, right? So
yeah. But yeah, so he demands Tao comes over. He's like, oh, take your D, take the pill, and then I'll absorb you. And Tao's like, okay. He's like, it's like my job. But then he's gonna do it until my boy Manabu comes up. And he's like, no, don't do it, boss.
Yeah,
don't do it, Aniki. And then he's like, yeah, you know what? I won't do it. Then you get to see a little bit of his little vines, electrical wires, tentacles,
cable control, and like he shot like a lightning bolt,
which makes sense because he's the tech guy. He's got to have a tech thing.
I mean, I guess.
But yeah, he just kind of breaks out of that, and then Gran's just gonna go kill him anyways. He's gonna absorb him even without him taking the medication or like that. But then they beg. Manabu begs to Rai, be like, no, save him. And then he's like, oh, you don't have to beg. And then he's just like, and then he just does it anyways. He's just OP as shit. He mainly uses like mind control, so like Gran can't even move when he says like stop or that kind of shit. And then at the end, he just has to like show him his real power with all of his blood shit coming up, and he shoots like a blood beam or something.
Yeah, it's a very ambiguous use of the power.
I will say the fighting looked better in this than it has before. I remember early on in the show, just when they were doing fist fights, I was like, the fighting, like the animation's not really good in this, but I think that they use enough color and like special effects kind of thing to make it look better when it's other fights. Like I still don't think like the animation itself is still not that good. Like you're not getting these like really crisp looking fights or a very stylistic fight like you got in something like God of High School. Right. But then when I get into like there's all the colors, right? Even like Frankenstein fighting Takio on top, he had all like the bright purpley rays kind of thing. Like there was a lot of color mashups, and it made it look better than I thought it was going to.
Yeah, I think they really are compensating with that. Because even the physical fights we've seen so far, they've tried to dress it up a little bit. Like when M21's fighting with his claws, they try and do the gleam strikes and things like that. It just doesn't land most of the time. Yeah.
Now, one of the twists in this, I don't know if you'd call it a twist, but of course, I don't know why anybody would be surprised, is that Rai, after they're all safe, Rai goes up to M21. And he's like, hey, like you're more powerful than you know. And then he gives him like, tastes his blood for a second. That gives him like the vision or like that. Dude's 100% a werewolf.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone was surprised.
I'm like, of course, you have vampires, you got to put werewolves in for no reason. Like I know he's not like I don't think werewolves are actually a thing. You know, like the vampires. It's almost like the vampire myth in human mythology is based off these noblesses. That's like the whole point. Is that it's not that vampires ever existed. It's just that from the noblesses that did exist at one point in time, then all these stories of vampires came through, even if they exaggerated some details.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
I mean, even if it was kind of a big middle finger to the ones who helped them.
Yeah, right. They're like protecting humans, and they're like, yeah, man, they're terrible. They steal your blood and shit. And
which I mean, I feel like Rai might have just done that. So
no one was using that blood. It's very different than if he just like grabbed the blood out of people's bodies. But yeah, I don't think I don't think there's like a generation of werewolves or anything like that. It just seems like his powers kind of wolfy. You know, before he only had like the long like nails, so that's what we thought his power kind of was. And I kind of thought before it might have been a reference to like Wolverine and X-24. Yeah, and that kind of X-23, whatever. Which one's? I think X-24 is the girl, right?
I think X-23.
Okay, X-20, and he's X-24.
Yeah, or M21.
No, I mean Wolverine's X-24, I think. Or
I could not tell you. I don't remember that.
Yeah, we're not big comic book guys, so excuse us for this.
I haven't read X-Men in a very long time.
I originally thought that he was a reference to that because his name was kind of close. He was like M21, and then he had like the claws, but now it seems more like he's just supposed to be werewolfy. So not hugely surprising. Just because of the sweet noblesse ads too, we weren't surprised at all that Tao became good.
Yeah, when you show him playing basketball with the main crew, it's kind of hard to picture him dying there.
So we're definitely next episode. I think we're gonna get the ad that we've been seeing where he's at school. I think that's the episode where it's finally gonna happen, which is episode 7. So we're more than halfway done now. So it's either now they're gonna continue, like it's gonna show Grand's okay, and maybe he's gonna call in more crew members from the Union. They're gonna replace some of his crew, and he's gonna go after his deserters and that kind of stuff with even more anger. Or we're going to get like a different villain through the second half, which seems kind of weird. I don't know if they'll do that, but
I mean, did Grant even do anything? He kind of got introduced one episode, got his ass kicked the next episode.
Yeah, he's like that old man. This is a tough guy, but then he didn't really ever come off that tough.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he's the commander. He's the strongest of us all. And then it's like, oh, I can absorb you to become stronger. And it's like, okay, you didn't do anything.
Yeah, I think if anything, because he mentions that if he could absorb Tao, then maybe I think the whole point is he's going to have to absorb more people. So I don't know if he's going to go after Tao and Takio to see if he can absorb them to then become strong enough, or maybe after he ran away there, he went up and he absorbed Shark's or not Shark Hammer's body or something like that. Even though he's dead,
we don't even know if he's actually dead.
Yeah, I can't.
He's not buried in Rumble.
The rules typically apply that if a death isn't shown on scene, that it didn't happen. Probably. That's what I've grown accustomed to. So until then, I'm assuming that it makes more sense to have him not be dead and to find a way to become more powerful to combat Rai. That it makes sense to just introduce a new villain with only 5 episodes left to go.
Probably, yeah.
So that's my guess. But next episode, we're definitely going to see some happy school times, I think, with Tao going to school. We don't know how old they are, though. But
I mean, they're kind of ambiguous on all this. I feel like Rai is probably older than all of them combined.
Yeah, I assume yes, but I'm wondering is Tao high school age and he was just recruited young, or is he older and he's hey, I never got my GED, time to go back to school?
Even so, I don't think that's how that works.
I don't know. And then the other twist at the end, obviously, is that Tao reveals to Takio that he thinks that the memories of his sister were basically genetically implanted. He was.
Yeah, well, not even genetically. He straight up says everything they said was a lie. Your sister doesn't exist.
But he has memories specifically of his sister, a little bit visiting the hospital and stuff like that, which either means he was hypnotized, or there was something they actually did to him.
Well, remember the first episode how they're talking about how, oh god, Manabu and Yusuke had their memories changed?
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet it's just that.
But who did they get their memories changed by?
Probably the Union.
I feel like the Union just would have killed them. From based off what we've seen of the Union, do you think they would really care about
those two?
Yeah.
I'm going to say probably Rai.
That's what I would assume too. Rai or Frankenstein or something along that line. So I don't know if this is just... we still need to watch that OVA episode of the Noblesse Awakening.
I keep seeing it, and I keep just not watching it.
Yeah, maybe when Noblesse season finishes, we'll watch that finally. Be yes, the Star Wars, Yeah. You go back and you watch the first ones later.
The Star Wars.
The Star Wars. Yeah, you got any other notes on the episode at all, or anything you're expecting next episode or looking forward to?
Nothing crazy. I think we're going to get some downtime.
We're going to get the filler episode in between of the school days of introducing Tao and them to all the other characters.
Which we barely got any uptime, which is kind of disappointing. But
yeah. The show's still better than when it first started. But I still feel like it's lacking an identity in some areas where it's still just a bunch of other ones kind of mixed together, but not in the best way. Well, I think something like in comparison to our list, something like Jujutsu Kaisen is a lot of different shonen mixed together, but done in like a new fun way.
Yeah.
I think this one's just a lot of shit mixed together. Like you have elements of like Sarah for the End, Vampire Knight, like this kind of shit is put in there, but I don't think it has its own identity yet.
Yeah, the problem is the moment you start working with vampires, you have to work your ass off to get past that.
Well, it's not. You need good characters. This is like it's the fact, especially anime. You need a good character, and right now, like there's characters that have potential, but like the fact that we're still confused by who the main character is, like we don't understand. We don't know. You know, like the ginger kid, cool character. He's got that classic shonen attitude, wants to protect everyone. We know nothing about his backstory. We don't know about his family.
We know he punches people hard.
Yeah, like he has a hard time, obviously, because at some point people find out you're tough, and it's like anything. It's like Kenichi or most martial arts things. When someone finds out you're good, then everyone wants to challenge you
for no fucking reason.
So now he just has to constantly deal with these people, trying to beat him and his friends up. But we don't know anything about his backstory, about why his character got like that to begin with, about his family, like. And maybe we never will, because they're like, no, care about the vampires in this, care about Rai, you know?
Because I mean, like the people who attacked him were the most petty fuckers I've ever seen. It's like, you saved my girlfriend from getting hit by a car. I'm here to kick your ass.
Yeah, the girlfriend's kind of a bitch too. She should have backed him up. She even like waved to him and was like, like I think she had the hots for him still a little bit, which is why he was mad. But the only other, like, we got a little piece of lore real fast, which was a flashback to Frankenstein and Rai, earlier days, basically just saying, hey. Don't use your unsealed power unless commanded. And obviously, early in the episode to fight Takeo, he broke the seal and unleashed some of his power. But he's like, hey, that's okay. He's like, you did it responsibly. You didn't kill him. So
his exact thing I think was like, I know you wouldn't have done it unless you had a very good reason.
I mean, he didn't really have a very good reason. It's just because the guy mentioned his master. He's like, yeah, then I'll go find that other guy. He's like, you gonna fuck with my master? Break seal.
I mean, Rai didn't know that.
It's not like he's like, I'm gonna go find those kids and beat them up. And he's like, I have to protect kids. He's just like, my master, even though he knows his master would kick his ass. Like, who cares?
I mean, the thing is, like, we saw Rai coughing up blood after using his power.
That's true. Yeah, we don't. He's freshly awakened, probably. Maybe like it takes time to get his powers back. All that kind of shit.
I feel like if you control blood, you probably shouldn't be coughing it up, but.
What if you was coughing that up to then like throw it at someone like a whip and kill them?
This would probably be a more interesting anime.
Probably, yeah. That's it for the episode, though. Still interesting. You got a little bit of fighting. We finally did get to see Rai pop off a little bit. Seeing as we haven't seen him do anything yet, that was more than nothing.
Yeah, we've just seen him eat ramen.
But yeah, that was about the extent of the fight arc, if you will. Was about half of last episode and half of this one.
And even then, it wasn't really a fight. It was a couple swipes, a couple slaps, then Rai.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's your face? She summoned her epic scythe, like her soul weapon or like that, and just immediately just beat Hammer.
Which I do want to say, it was kind of sad that Hammer's whole thing was just like, oh, I throw explosives and I have a big cannon. It's like,
I wanted him to use a big hammer. That would have been cool. It just comes out with this huge two-hand hammer. But I guess they are like modern army kind of guys, So one uses a gun, one uses like, hand-to-hand combat with knives. It kind of makes some more sense to one use like a rocket launcher than him to come out with like a wacky anime mallet. And we beat people up with that. Or come up with like dual yo-yos or something like anime fucking always does. Something stupid as shit.
Hey, you lay off Killua.
Yeah, no, I will not. But yeah, that's it for Noblesse. Next up on the list, we're switching over to one of our Funimation animes, which is Wandering Witch Elena Episode 7, which is another dual title, I believe.
A wall etched by travelers and The Grape Stomping Girl.
So all of these titles are the most literal titles, I think, of any other anime.
Yeah, this is just cataloging at this point.
So I have to say, we've mentioned now 2 weeks in a row that we're like, the next episode, that'll be the dark one. It's coming back.
Yeah.
These episodes keep getting more and more like what we first expected this series to be.
Yeah, I think they got dark and they kind of got told off and they're pulling back now.
When we came into this series, we said, hey, this is going to be one of those ones where you're just seeing the witch travel. Each episode is going to be broken down into like two parts of just two different little side stories. No real stakes on the line, just kind of like information. And then like they showed us some episodes that were like, no, like even the first one was like, no, we're just going to show you this chick training, her struggles, like, a bunch of emotional stuff. The second episode even, it's like, there wasn't any huge stakes. The other witch stole her pendant, but like there's still like this like emotional connection they had to make, and you got to hear about her backstory and that kind of stuff. And then you started getting into these dark episodes. You're like, oh, this is nothing like what we thought was going to happen.
Yeah. And
now since then, it's really been like this was the most episode of what I first thought the show was. A casual witch traveling across, hearing some light tales. Barely like none of it was even her really interacting in this one. It was all like the tales being told to her or to someone else about her. We weren't even seeing the live. We weren't even seeing like the live footage when she's there.
Yeah,
ever.
which I do want to note. I think this is the first time we didn't start an episode with her praising herself.
I'd also like to note in one of the previous episodes we had the speculations on her mom being the witch Nikkei, and it's like it was kind of hinted at. I feel like there's not a chance in the world. At this episode, they're like, yeah, fuck it, let's just tell everyone immediately.
Yeah. No mystery, no build up.
I still have questions as to how she doesn't know her mom's name.
She's a fucking idiot.
I guess that's true. But did you even realize it was not her to begin with? I also didn't. So it first starts off with this witch landing beside a wall, and she's like, well, it starts off with Elena reading the story of like the town that was separated by the wall, with her mom there. And then while she's reading it, showing like what happened in the story, and then the witch touches down, and it's just fucking Elena. I think the difference is she has the hair pulled on the one side and like a little thing, which is also what the mom has.
Yeah, it's entirely hairstyle. I think it's done on the back, not on the side.
But at first I didn't even realize that that wasn't her until then it cut to her reading the story again while it's happening. She's like, then what happened? I'm like, oh, that's not you. Okay, well, fuck. The show just gave up on trying to keep that hidden, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if it was supposed to be a secret, but
I feel like the hints that were in the one episode were hints enough that I would guess it was like they're like having fun, like, oh, like did you catch these? Like, but they're subtle enough to make you be like, oh, but maybe it's not, because like how would she not know the name? Like all this kind of other stuff. But now they're just like, yeah, fuck it. Like all the smart people know by now. Let's just make sure they really know.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe it's like Nikkei or Nike or whatever the witch's name is.
Just do it.
Yeah, maybe that's like her title.
I keep imagining like the witch with like the Nike shoes on, sponsored, and she lands at town. She's like, Nike, just do it. And then at the front of her book she has like the little Nike logo. But
it just flies
even
away.
later when Elena does touch down in the town where the wall's broken, the guy's like, oh, you're back, traveling witch, and she's like, I've never been here. And he's like, oh, you look younger than before. I'm like, okay, yeah, we get it. We already know. You told us enough at the beginning. You don't need to keep telling us now.
You can stop beating us over the head with this.
Do you think Elaine is ever going to find out, or do you think that's just going to be like the plot?
It's going to be the last episode. She's going to go, wait, Mom, you were Nikkei? It's like,
obviously, you idiot.
She's like, yeah, I didn't know you didn't realize that.
But like normally, I would at least digest, and discuss the topics, because there are some deep, kind of like moral stories in a lot of the things, like in a lot of the stories.
Well, I mean,
but this one, not really. This was really just about like coming together with the people you thought are enemies. Like people aren't just because you think someone's your enemies, like it doesn't mean they are.
Like the first one is literally just the story of the wall of Berlin.
Yeah. So literally the two people, there was two parts of the town. They didn't like each other for no given reason.
They just wanted to prove they're better than each other.
Yeah, it's not it's not discussed as like a separate racial thing or a religion or something that typically in history would make two people fight. They're just like, hey, you across that street, I don't like you because you're across that street.
Yeah, and they managed to divide the entire town in half like this. Like, how the hell did you draw that border?
Yeah, I don't know. That would have taken a lot of work because they would have constantly like, whoa, that's one extra foot on our side. Like, get that back over there. But yeah, and then the whole point is they're like, yeah, we don't like those guys across. And then the traveling witch Nikkei comes in and she's like, hey, why don't you write this shit on the wall? Say, hey, this is the best town ever. Get every single traveler to come here and write about that, and that'll show that your town's better. Except for both sides of the wall do that. And then,
people are probably going to go to one side, then go to the other side.
And now, to be fair, it is strongly hinted in the end that she did that on purpose, knowing that it would eventually lead to this.
Yeah.
But you're trying to tell me she mad level predicted 1000 IQ that another witch would come along later who's kind of an idiot and would come up with this idea about people just writing their desires on the wall and then getting so embarrassed by their desires they'd scratch them off until the wall broke.
Yeah,
that seems like a little much.
They're pushing it. Although I do want to note that I think this is the first time the Charcoal Witch did something positive.
But did she do it on purpose?
No,
I don't think. Yeah, I could imagine like the stories hinting that like Nikkei did that on purpose to try and bring them together eventually. But I don't think the Charcoal Witch did that on purpose to bring them closer together. I think
she just wanted to write "I love Elena" multiple times,
over and over again. Yeah, so obviously she comes in the future. She comes in. She's like, hey, what if instead of like it's cool to let travelers write, but like, hey, like this wall is your guys' wall. Why don't you guys start writing like your desires and your thoughts and that kind of stuff? And the guy's like, yeah, okay, that might bring in some popularity. And then you have like basically Facebook posts. You have the drunk people walking in there and writing their stuff, and then coming back the next day embarrassed that they wrote that while they're drunk and trying to scratch it off. You have the romantic couples after they break up coming back to scratch off what they said about their loved one or what their loved one said about them before.
Yeah.
And it turns out both sides the same thing's happening, and then until they break through the wall, and then when they break through, the breaking through scene was just stupid as shit. They just like they break the wall, and then the guy and the girl are like, ooh, like blushy face, like, ooh, that's a human. And then like the other one's like two girls, and they both go blushy face too. I'm like, what did you think they were monsters? Like,
I know.
What do you mean? You didn't even talk to this person. They could just immediately hate you. Like, I'm just like, okay, whatever. So yeah, they break through the wall. Everyone realizes, hey, we're all people in this town. We like each other now after these 10 or so years, however long it's been.
Yeah, even the town elders were like buddy afterwards. It's like, I thought you guys hated each other.
Yeah, normally there's like this like moral story, and I'm like, what's the moral story? Don't hate people blindly. Did we not all know that already? I know some people in the world don't, but I feel like most anime viewers I know are pretty accepting folk. I think we all kind of knew that lesson, but
I feel like it. I just don't
it would have been different too if one side of the wall was a different race than the other one, and they're like, oh, we hate this race, and they're like, yeah, we hate that these guys hate us because of our race, and then eventually the wall breaks down. They're like, yeah, wait, what were we even fighting for? Fighting over race is dumb, and then they all got together. At least then they're like, oh, race doesn't matter, like it matters what's on the inside. Instead of just like all of these white people can get along with these other white people. I'm like, yeah, well, I mean, of course they can.
Yeah, there was no ideological difference. There was no religious difference. It was just, I live on this side, you live on that side, fuck you.
And then immediately go into the second story, which is I live on this side, you live on that side. Oh, sorry, I live in this town, you live in that town, fuck you. Which is literally the names of their towns, or this town and that town.
I mean, like, I know that the first one you just stole from a history book, you could put some freaking thought into the names.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you thought you were being clever, like a Tweedledee, Tweedledum type thing.
Maybe. But yeah, it's literally just their two rival towns who both, most of their economy is based on like a vineyard, wine sales business. And then this one, so we're getting the tale is being told from the old man's perspective about the witch who stopped by. And that witch was Elena.
That was Elena,
so
yes.
When the hell is this taking place? Because he's now an old man with grandchildren. He wasn't even married at that point.
This is like way down the line.
Yeah, so like the timing on when some of the stories, Elena's telling you a story about like 6 months back. Some of them you're just seeing as it happens, and now apparently some of them you're getting 50 years in the future. And we're like, what's Elena doing at this point? Like, so the old man's telling the story to his grandchildren about like, how did the grape battle, or the hell it's called, like come to pass?
The grape throwing festival.
Yeah, he's like, well, let me tell you, kids, how the grape throwing festival came to pass. And then I'm sure that's probably also a steal from history. Like in Italy, there's like the tomato battles and shit. Maybe they're from that. There's like that tomato throwing crap.
I don't know if it's spice or just like a colored powder, but they do something similar in India.
Maybe this is also based off something historical. You're a big history buff. Let us know.
Yeah. Please tell us how much they stole from their history.
Yeah, it's simple. That town is using a hot girl to sell their wine. Advertising, right? That's how we've been doing it for a long time. In the 90s, beer commercials were just all about big tittied wenches on the beer. That makes you want to taste that beer. So all these men are just absolute simps with feet fetishes. They're all like, oh, but she stepped on this grape personally. I'm going to lick it up, my queen. I think even at one point you do see a guy say "step on me," which is very classic simp behavior.
I mean, I did not expect to see that.
Even like obviously, even at the very start, while the grandpa's telling the story, there's a lady stepping on grapes with her back turned. Who then, when they get to the next part, is obviously the lady on the bottle. So you're like, oh, like, is this going to be a twist? Because like, it's not surprising. And then I'll discuss why that also pissed me off at the end. But yeah, a lot of it's just Elena came to town and they're like, hey, that town has a grape stomping wench who is selling all the business. Can you be ours? And she's originally like, and then the I think her name was like, was it Rosemary?
Yeah, Rosemary.
She comes across and obviously she's like super confident, kind of annoying, a little bitchy. She has that classic anime laugh.
Yeah.
Which I do always love. I'm not gonna lie.
She's a goddamn Ojo-sama, and like I'm getting really tired of that laugh at this point.
I still kind of like it. Maybe smile. It just reminds me of the girl from Oran High School Host Club, the manager, as she's like spinning on like the wheel that comes up, and that's still such a classic character.
I suddenly have fond memories of the laugh. God damn it!
But yeah, she comes over and she tells Elena that she's not even that pretty. Like her body is the body of a child, and even her face isn't that good looking.
Yeah.
And Elena's just like, I'll do it now. She's pissed, so she decides she'll stomp on the grapes.
For Elena, I think she held back.
Yeah. She didn't use any magic, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry she didn't bitch slap her.
But yeah, then basically the plot leads, she stomps on the grape, and then after that she's like, wait a minute, this is hard. And then the guy's like, yeah, it is hard. And she's like, how does this girl do this every single day?
For thousands of bottles of wine.
Yeah, and then they're like, So they go to spy. You know, we don't get any traveling to the town or anything. That just instantly goes to them looking in the door. Security's not very high, apparently.
Yeah.
And this is where they learn that it's actually a bunch of men stomping on the grapes, and she's just, you know, the front woman of the business for the image.
Yeah.
All the men are very sad. They're all like crying because, you know, the grapes that they thought were personally stomped on by their queen were in fact not. It was just a bunch of dudes.
I mean, I feel like somebody had the same reaction when they found out Belle Delphine didn't actually use that bathwater.
Oh, for sure, for sure. But and then yeah, it leads to them all in town, and you know, they start throwing grapes at each other, which is obviously the start. Elena does get pissed at one, or she doesn't get pissed. Sorry,
she gets drunk.
She gets wasted. You know, she tries her first glass of wine. She's digging it. She's swaying around, and that's where she uses her magic just to absolutely like Gatling gun everybody until the point where they all got knocked out. So it's like them waking up the next morning, she's gone, and then they kind of just settle their differences. There's not really a reason how.
I think it's like we all let off some steam by throwing shit at each other. We got knocked out by a lolly. So
yeah, and then, you know, then it goes back to the old grandpa telling his kids, and then the part that annoyed me, okay, is when the kids are like, "Oh, but what happened to Rosemary?" And then he's like, "Ah, that's a tale for another time." And then she turns around. I'm like, "You don't know your grandma's names, you little dicks." Like, I mean, like,
Yeah.
I can almost get that, though, because I swear to God, I didn't know my grandma's names until I was like 8 or 9, because they were just like Granny, or, you know.
Yeah.
Every kid just has like a name for their grandma, like
mean,
Mima,
true.
Nina, like they all have names. So like maybe they just don't know her name, but
Yeah. What do you mean your name isn't Grammy?
yeah, that's bullshit. But yeah, that once again, not a twist. A very similar plot to the first part of the episode, and I don't really know. Once again, it's I guess supposed to be the same moral as the first part. But it's just so weird. The episode was just weird to me because it's like you just gave us 2 stories with the same moral. Neither of them were very good morals either. It's just like, yeah, don't hate people for no reason.
I mean, let's be fair. It is a good moral. It's just not a very necessary moral.
Yeah, obviously you don't want to hate people for no reason. And then, you know, people learned. Each of them ends with people learning that, you know, they have more in common than they think. You know, both sides of the city wanted to build a wall. That means you guys got a lot in common. You're both idiots.
Yeah, I mean, you both had to work on it too. Like, did none of them talk to each other while they were building this wall?
Like, putting a brake on, like looking, giving the evil glare. And then yeah, the other one's like, yeah, you're both rival companies. You know, you're rival this town, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I still don't really understand how theirs got completely resolved. Did they just merge the vineyard to make one company?
I think so.
Probably. I guess that wasn't really important to us as the viewers.
My big question is, how do they even coordinate the names this town and that town?
Our town.
I know.
Town.
But even when they would just name them, it was like, hey.
Yeah, like you know how much I wouldn't want to be that town?
Yeah, welcome to this town.
It's real easy for that guy to be like, hey, you're in this town. And they're like, hey, you're in that town. Like, no, yeah. I'm in this town. Like, I know, but you're actually in that town. Like, we lost the coin flip. I'm so sorry.
I mean, both of them have a lot of Abbott and Costello shit going on, so.
Yeah, either way, the episode was interesting. I'm still sad we didn't get a dark episode. Maybe
next one.
Maybe they're still building up, but so help me God if we come back next week and it was like, oh, this one was about treating animals kindly. I'm like, yeah, we all fucking knew that. We don't treat animals bad. Stupid fucking witch. Oh, at least Elena didn't do anything evil in this one. So
I was gonna say, like, at least she didn't leave some slave to their fates or some crazy woman in the middle of a kingdom without doing anything.
Yeah,
about
or
it.
Plant genocide of an entire town.
Yeah,
but, yeah, she didn't do anything evil, but like just the storytelling. This one was so strange because the first one's from the perspective of like her reading a book into then it's like her reading a book into Nikke's perspective, into Saya's perspective, then into her perspective.
Yeah.
And then the other one's from the perspective of the old man telling the story from like 50 years down the line because he had to have kids, and then those kids had to have kids, and then those kids are even like 8 to 10 years old. So like I'm like, what are we doing? I
mean, like maybe these kids had kids young, so maybe it's only been like 25 years.
Maybe.
Like this is like a pseudo medieval society.
The dude had like gray hair when his young form was there.
I mean, it's
sure,
anime.
He was big and strong, but he had some gray hair.
I mean, it's anime. He could have very easily just had platinum hair.
Well, that platinum hair was great, and I saw it. But yeah, I hope. Listen, it wasn't bad. As I said, I have a lot of things to say about this in the sense where I'm not like this is a shit episode. I'm just so confused. There was so much that was weird. As I said, having a dual story, but both the stories kind of being the same story.
I mean,
and
they're going for a theme.
And then also having like 6 different perspectives throughout one episode. I think that's strange. Normally you're either seeing it from the main character's point of view, from someone else's point of view telling the story. And it's one thing, this is definitely a story that could, change that by the episode. But changing it so many times in one episode is a little weird.
Yeah, it almost makes you think they were worried about getting axed or losing viewers, and they were trying to try something new.
I mean, maybe. I guess we'll see if the future episodes kind of do the same thing, or
Maybe.
we'll see if they, take, because some of our episodes have just been about one plot. That's a lot of them have been about that, and then a couple of them have been this like dual plot thing. Next one we're going to come in. There's going to be 6 plots in the one episode. All from this one's from a dog's point of view. Actually, this one's from that berry on that bush's point of view. Elena came and picked him one day. I don't know. I don't know where we're going anymore, but I'll be there when we get there.
Do you remember the last time we actually said something positive about this show? Because it's not a bad show.
There are positive things about the show. It just doesn't make any sense sometimes.
I know.
Originally, we thought we knew what it was going to be, and then it wasn't that, and now it is that, which is why it's confusing. Yeah. It's just like, it's like you don't have to be what we think you're going to be, and you don't have to objectively be against what we think you're going to be. Like, you don't have to subvert expectations that much. But I feel like you gotta kind of pick a style, and it keeps just swapping. So each
some
episode
sort of
we're
stability
like,
would be nice.
And then right when we're like, okay, this is how the show goes now. We're having midway parts. Each one's gonna have a nice story, a moral to the story. Then all of a sudden it's gonna be one full episode of one plot where everybody gets mass murdered, and we're gonna be like, now I'm confused again.
Yeah, just burnt down orphanages as far as the eye can see.
So if anything, this might be one of the more interesting ones to talk about, because I have no idea what the fuck we're gonna talk about half the time. I'm like, well, like. This episode was happy. What's going to happen in the next episode? Like, who knows?
I feel like you spent more time on this one than Noblesse already.
I could pretty much guess what's going to happen in every single other episode for the week in the next one, because, they all go a pretty normal formula. But this one, who knows? As I said, wacky. Next one we're going to get from her broom's perspective of being ridden on.
So the broom's a simp.
Yeah. Okay, next next show. It's the I'm Standing on a Million Lives, also episode 7 from Crunchyroll.
Yep. Title: The Warrior of Light and Stranger of Darkness.
I like that name because you get the Warrior of Light, and you got the light, you got the dark. It still kind of reminds me of like Final Fantasy.
Yeah, it's Final Fantasy 14 through and through.
Yeah, because you got your Warrior of Light, and then you also have the Warrior of Darkness, basically the Shadow of Darkness, or like that. I'm confused. Okay, let me tell you why I'm confused. Obviously, the last episode we left off, them walking into a room, having to fight a golem. The main character falling down the hole. He realizes, hey, he'll have to make a bunch of nachis to get back up. That's going to take a while. And then the episode starts, and this is my issue with the episode. It starts with him doing his little inner journey to get to the top. It takes some self-reflection. He's having like flashbacks, or we're seeing his past while he has to work hard. It starts off with him kind of sucking a little bit, but then he gets a little tougher, kind of drives through. Then he gets up. Right, and then as he's walking through, we get the what are they called, log points, I think? Yeah. Of him seeing one of the guys they're traveling with died. How did that guy die?
Yeah, they don't actually establish anything because there was nothing dangerous there.
No. Second of all, when the main character got up, I was expecting just the wall to hit him back down. It depends on which point he got up, I suppose. I really hope he went to like the end of the hall and got up right at the end.
Yeah, maybe there's like a 1 foot space at the end of the hall that just doesn't have a sliding wall.
But like, the thing that doesn't make any sense is, when did that dude die? Because
he died after they got past the walls.
Yeah, but because when we got to the perspective of the last episode ended with them being at the golems, I'm gonna want to take a look back and see if he's there at that point.
Yeah.
Because then when this one starts up, it would be one thing if the start of the episode with them fighting the golems, he dies and then they flee back to like regroup, and then it kicks to the main character working. You don't know how long he's getting up for, and then he comes, runs to the dead guy, and then when you're watching this episode, they go back to refight it. But it's positioned like this is the first time, like this is right after the last one ended with them fighting the golem, which means the main character gets there minutes after. The main character did all of that work. They're showing this like little montage of him getting tougher, him like shirts coming off. This is hard work climbing. He doesn't know how tall it is. But then you're trying to tell me this is minutes. He gets there minutes after they do.
Because the fight didn't take very long because it showed the creature walking across towards them.
Yeah, that's it. I was like, man, something doesn't make sense here. I was like, it would have been one thing if you show us that this is them re-going in. Maybe the guy died from the thing last time. They pulled him out, and then this is them re-going back in to fight him.
Would it even let them pull him out?
Maybe it wouldn't leave the room. Maybe like that's what I'm saying. Like they should have done something like that, because now it makes no sense. So what they're telling us is the main character, the guy died at an undisclosed thing that happened along the way. They didn't mention it when we saw them last time in the last episode. Yeah. And then this time the main character takes minutes to get to the top to get there just in time to, pretty much do nothing. Let's be honest. He gets there in time to jump off and heal, which is important.
But like it was implied that it was going to take him hours to do that.
Yeah, because I'm like, he doesn't know the height. It's probably pretty freaking high. The amount of time to individually scratch these holes on both sides for an entire distance up, that could take him days. Like, he has no light, so he's doing it in the dark. And then like the other weird thing is like we're getting his self-reflection, and as he's going up, he's like, he's like everyone kind of has their roles, like the jobs change, that kind of stuff. But like I've looked at this, and with my self-reflection, I've decided like I have to be like the leader. Like, no one else can do it. Like I'm the most physically strong. And then he walks in, and then it's like, no, this chick's strong too. Now we have a second knight. I'm like, a second knight? What do we need a second knight for? She's literally the exact same class as the other girl. She's the same outfit and everything.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is the other warrior is going to change, and she's going to have something different.
I would hope so, because she's not very good at being a warrior. At least this one's better.
Maybe she'll turn into like a priest or something.
There was also one thing that was mentioned that is very strange. The weird implications is that she says that she got worse at tennis after they joined this game because she was given the role of a wizard, which lowered her strength stat. Yeah. And then outside of the game, their stats in real life reflect the ones in the game. Yeah. So she was no longer good at sports because she had wizard stats in real life.
Yeah.
Which is just weird. Does that mean the main character can just slay cooking in real life?
I mean, possibly. I mean, that might also explain why he was strong enough to snap a bunch of phones and have with his bare hands without trying.
He was only a farmer at that point.
I mean, he still had the highest stats out of all of them.
I guess. Maybe that all makes sense now. Now that's their, if they ever question, he's like, oh yeah, I broke all those phones because my sick farmer strength of being a rank 9 farmer, and they'd be like, yes. But yeah, I mean that's an interesting piece of information I didn't think was a thing.
Yeah, and he also brought up at one point, like, I think the jobs are rigged. Like, yeah, we're being put through a predetermined path.
Yeah, but I feel like that kind of. I feel like the fact that she was given, I mean, and to be fair, he didn't know this information. The fact that she ranked up there and was given the role of a knight, I feel like kind of disrupts his theory. Because, it'd be one thing if they were all given different roles as like a part of a pre-planned party, like is typical, but then she was just given the same job as someone else. So I don't know if that necessarily agrees with his theory or not.
I mean, but if the sword chick levels up, she ends up turning into a priestess or some sort of utility mage.
I would just like to say, I don't think that her strength in the game affected her outside stats. So
we don't know. She doesn't do anything.
I can't imagine, though, because it seems like, to me, the more realistic thing is that your real life stats would then go into the game with you, and that would kind of affect your stat. And that makes more sense. That makes sense as to why she's so weak in this. She can't even hold the sword.
Yeah.
But as we've seen in this one, she starts off right away and is able to hold the sword when she gets turned into knight. So I'm like, I just don't get it.
I mean, maybe it's some bullshit like you have a cap from your class, but your real world stats come in as your starting point.
I mean, maybe too, like as you rank up and you change jobs, you still keep the stats or something. Like as I said, we're not given information about how this game works at all.
Yeah, they're very much
we might be diving too deep into the questions of the game that doesn't exist.
We're thinking about this more than the guy who wrote it did.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's a good episode. The one lady, was her name Cavill? I don't remember. It was
Cavill, yeah, she's the one who got guffed.
Yeah, she got stabbed, and then she gets kicked off the edge. Looked pretty mortal to me, but clearly wasn't. Main character hops off. He heals her using all the blood that's was feeding the golems. Goes for a little nappy, and that's where he comes to the realization, which to me doesn't. It's almost like that was like a big twist, but that doesn't really seem like that big of a realization. They even mention it a couple times, where he's like, "Hey, like I've been looking at this all wrong. We've been thinking the goods are this, but the goods could just be any goods. Like it's just goods."
Yeah.
It's like the first mission was kill a goblin. It could have been any goblin. It wasn't like a specific one.
True.
Then it was find 2 settlements. They didn't have to be, it wasn't find this town and this town. It wasn't find this town and that town. It was find 2 different settlements.
Yeah.
And then, so he's like, hey, it could be any goods. And they're like, oh, does that mean we like fucked up? And I'm like, well, you could just, the thing is, it's like, he kind of mentioned the fact that like the slaves wouldn't work because it had to be like a it
had to be something someone wanted.
Yeah, it had to be like an agreement ahead of time. I was like, can't you just go pick up like a rock and if you convince someone in the town to buy it from you, does that count?
I mean, just take a dagger and say, hey, this is a really good dagger owned by a hero, 1 copper.
Yeah, or send one person on one of the horses there as fast as you can to find a marketplace guy. Be like, hey, will you buy a dagger from a hero? 1 silver, the cheapest thing you could possibly want. The guy's like, I guess I could do that. And then when they come in, be like, well, here's the deal you've made to sell these goods.
Yeah. And I do like how they were just like, oh, okay, yeah. So those people, there's no one there waiting for them, so they don't count. So do we just leave them, or is this going to fail us still? Or
yeah, but I mean, there was still the morality question of like, she's like, oh, we have to help him though. It's still a kid. He's going to die. The main character's like, well,
I mean, to be fair, we kind of time skip every time, and he's gonna die anyways, and we don't even know if he's real.
Yeah, I'm still wondering about, like, obviously they've now given us more information about Cavill. Like, she's got her background. She's got a little bit of her personality traits, that kind of stuff. But like, the next mission is she just gonna be like? Is she just gonna be a little older? Is she gonna be gone? Like, is it gonna be like 100 years? She's gonna be dead. That's what I'm like. They introduced this character, they kind of build it a little bit, then they're just gonna be gone. So A little
I
strange.
mean, what have we gotten from her? We've gotten that she likes to cut shit and she's got a little bit of penis envy.
Yeah. Which makes her want to cut shit. Makes her want to
Yeah.
cut flesh. Her dad told her that a 10,000, one real battle is worth 10,000 practice swings or something along that line.
Yeah.
And she took that to mean cut flesh. So
Yeah.
she figures that's why she likes training on the heroes, because she cuts their flesh. Since that's a real battle, because they're real flesh she's cutting, that's worth 10,000 practice swings. So she's really locking in some big bonuses.
Yeah, I don't think it works as well as she thinks.
That's her logic, though. But yeah, I mean, that's really it. A lot of it just kind of comes down to what they're going to do. Like, they have to kind of fix this whole slavery issue. They don't want that kid to be dead or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even slavery. It's an execution.
Oh, yeah, right. Execution. They're currently slaves sent to be executed.
Yeah, I mean, they're not making them do any work, so they're just prisoners.
So, they're going to be executed. So the main character's still like, he doesn't think that's going to count as the goods, but he also was like, well, like, it could still be the event we don't want to miss out on.
I mean, for all we know, this is going to turn out to be some sort of pun. They're going to save the prisoners. It's going to be like, you delivered good actions. You win. It's like, wait, what?
I mean, maybe.
It might not work.
The thing is, okay, if Cavill's actually hot, then you could say that she has the goods, which means that they deliver her successfully to the town.
I mean, you could technically argue that with the other two, too. Like, any of the girls.
Yeah, but, like, she's like a grown adult, though,
I mean, again, pseudo-medieval society.
I know, but I don't count that. We only talk about adults on this show having the goods. But yeah,
they never gave us an age.
That's true, but they're in high school.
True.
But yeah, I mean, not really a crazy episode, and to me, it was just annoying because I didn't understand the time. Because I'm like, are you trying to make us sad that this character no one cared about died, but it doesn't even make sense how he died? I'm gonna go back and rewatch the ending of the last episode. I'm gonna see if he's fucking there, because I don't trust this. I feel like
they would have mentioned something.
Yeah, they would have been like, oh no, our guy died. Oh, there's a golem.
Yeah, just a retcon.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back and rewatch it because I'm interested, and then I'll bring that up on next week when we talk about whatever happens. I think that's just about it, though, which brings us to the next show. Don Machi, Season 3, Episode 7, title...
Dix Perdis / The Dreams of Beasts.
Why? So, the Dix, Perdis one makes sense. He's pretty main in this episode. What dreams of beasts are we getting?
It might be a reference to how they were under the curse of having them go mad.
I mean, maybe. We were never told they were having dreams. If anything, that would be a nightmare.
We were told they were hallucinating.
So. It would be a nightmare. I'm still calling that. It should be the nightmare of monsters.
I mean, you're arguing semantics now.
Okay. So a lot of it is Belle fighting Dix. That's just a fact. They're obviously having Dix is like, hey, killing monsters sure is fun. And then, Belle keeps refusing to want to kill monsters. So he's like, I don't like you anymore now, Belle. Couple of the interesting things about his character, that we're both seeing. He's mentioning it, and Icolos is telling Hermes. He's like, originally it was that the means were the capturing and killing monsters to help with the goal, which was building Gnosis. And then, but he's like, but eventually it swapped. So it was like building Gnosis was then an easier method to get the monsters and not them and kill them. And he swapped to literally just being a little insane.
Yeah, he's definitely gone mad. So
yeah, he also mentions too. He's like, it's not just like he's like, you're probably wondering, well, why we didn't just not build it or anything like that. He's like, but it's like a burning behind like our eyes, like making us want to do it, like drive us towards it. That's why all of the ancestors were like building the place. It would have been cool if there was like an ancestor at one point. He's like, no, I'm not doing this, and he like actually actively fights against it. You don't get to hear a bit of the story until he has kids, and then they they're weaker and they get driven to doing it.
I mean, I was just surprised these people keep having kids.
That's true. I mean, you have a kid, you're like, yeah, I get a kid, but they're going to want to be building this thing forever. That's a pretty shit life.
Just like, I know you want kids, honey, but you know how I'd have to go build that thing
my
day?
Cool DI? Yeah.
Yeah, he'll get that, and it's going to really suck.
Yeah, when I'm saying I'm going to work every single day? Well, work is actually just me digging, and I'm not getting paid for it.
Yeah, it's just a big hole.
But yeah, I mean, so we get a little bit of his story. It's not really a backstory. It's just, hey, he is one of them.
It's more of an origin.
And he's kind of insane. At one point, he's just like, hey, I really do like hunting and killing these monsters. He's like, this is the fun part of my job. And then eventually it's like, that's the main part of his job. And the whole Gnosis thing is more like a side thought.
Yeah.
And then, we obviously get a lot of him. He rips off the orb thing off Weene.
Yeah, the little gem.
Yeah, okay. And so I have questions about this too, but we'll get to there in a little bit. He rips off the gem thing, which then makes her turn into like her full monster form.
Right.
And, goes a little bit mad, attacks. And then, Belle does the thing where he doesn't attack her. He tries to calm her. And she gets like mostly not calm at all, but like confused.
Yeah.
To an extent.
I mean, she does calm down at one point when she kind of has that flashback to the first time she slashed him. But...
Yeah, but then anyway, she just like fucking tosses him off the side. Still seems like she was like calming a little bit, and then he just ended up using his confusion magic on her anyways.
Yeah.
Well, the cool part is like Belle's words basically were so inspiring that even though the monsters were still charmed, they still like fought for him at that point. And it was him and Lead is the
Lead.
Yeah, it was him and Lead were like was a double team. I'm not gonna use that term. They were they were both fighting dicks. They were
such a bad name.
Double teaming dicks, and fighting him, and then obviously like Belle used his Argonaut power, and it looked like they were to win the fight, and then the charm fell, and then it was revealed basically that he dropped the charm right before he took the attack to then get a lot of his strength back because it was draining his strength, so he could take that attack, and then he gets up. And then he uses his like charm on Weene, and then basically is like sends her up to the surface, and he's like, good luck. He's like, might want to go after her before she gets to the surface, and they all get really mad, and then Belle's like, okay, I'm going after her. A couple of the monsters are like, oh yeah, we're going after Belle. You guys kind of go back, and then we're also getting a side story here of this big ass Tauros monster just fucking everyone up.
Yeah, what the actual
fuck? He's like kicking everyone's ass. Like it's like originally like the little bunny and the thing go by, and then you're like, oh, there's a monster that got away, and then all of a sudden one chick just gets mad kicked into a tree, and I'm like, is that Bunny OP?
Yeah. Oh my god, what's her name?
She's from the Ganesh family.
Yeah, it starts with an L. It's like I want to say Lotki, but I know that's wrong.
Either way. Like I'm like, man, is that bunny actually secret OP? But it wasn't the bunny. Then it cuts back to pretty much every single person, including like Aisha and all them. They're all just on the ground unconscious. The only one still up is girl. I never remember her name.
Ryu.
Yeah, the elf. And we already know from like everything we've seen that she's tough as all shit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's level 5.
Yeah, so she's good, but she's getting her ass kicked by this Tauros. And then it knocks her down. It's just about to kill her. And then it's like summoned away.
Yeah, he hears a sound, or he hears a howl.
Yeah, it's like a howl. Yeah.
So I guess the bunny's like his handler, or
well, they mention it later too. Like I think the gargoyle and Lead, they mentioned they're like, oh yeah, he was there helping them out or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, who is this dude? Why have you not been introduced to him?
Yeah, just have him guide every single party.
Yeah, like he is literally the strongest thing we've seen yet. Like
he would have bitch slapped Goliath last season.
So anyways, that's all we saw of him. I'm sure we'll get some more background information in the next episode.
Let's hope.
And then the big thing was the end. Obviously, Weena gets to the top. The rest of the Hestia Familia finds her, and they're about to fight. And then Haruhime is like, no, like that's Weena, and they're like, oh. And then Weena attacks them, but Belle comes in just in time.
Yeah.
And then right when Belle's still trying to figure a way to solve the situation, Weena takes like an arrow or a spear.
Yeah, it was a Finn's spear.
Yeah, and then he looks up, and there's the entire Loki Familia.
I mean, not the entire Familia, just their A team.
Yeah. Just the best of the best.
Yeah.
And then Belle just kind of goes fucking insane. So
what is he supposed to do?
That's what he has like the panic attack of like, the shit do I do? Because he's not allowed to show that he's on the monster side because that's bad. Everyone will hate him. They'll be against the Hestia Familia.
He doesn't want Weena to get hurt.
But he doesn't want Weena to get hurt, and he doesn't want her to hurt other people. So anyways, he just he goes insane, and then he slowly walks over and then guards her, and then even Hermes is like, Belle, like, you are a fool.
Yeah.
And they're all like, what the hell are you doing? And I'm like,
which, I mean, that has a little bit more meaning than I think he let on. But
I think it's like he's a fool in like a good kind of way, like he doesn't think as logical as all the other people being, oh, it's just a monster. He has something special about him. But
yeah, as
of right now, he's a fool because it pretty much means that he has to fight all those people technically,
which he has no chance.
And if you've watched the intro does have him fighting Ides or whatever the hell her name is,
which everyone there is somewhere between level, I think, 5 and 6,
and he's still only 3 at this point.
Yeah, even if Haruhime decides to step up and level boost him,
level 4. He's still
maybe level 5 if we're generous.
Obviously the Hestia Familia would help him, but there's way more of them and they're higher level. And obviously, just not only that, but he also has conflict. He likes many of them, except for that wolf guy. That wolf guy doesn't like him at all. I mean,
even Beat, Beat was going to save his ass until we realized, like, wait a second, he's got this shit.
Yeah, and obviously he's a big fan of is it Eyes or Eyes?
Eyes.
Okay. And but she's gonna in the intro that it does show them fighting, so that's like kind of was a little hint.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a big deal because this literally means like the whole reason before they said that you can't help weenie in public or anything like that is because like that it'll literally segregate your familia now to being like bad.
I mean, we know that Belle's gonna like try and solo this shit. He's gonna say, "Nope, just me. The familia had nothing to do with it."
I don't know. I don't know if he's in the right frame of mind right now to even try using logic.
I mean, we know he's just gonna get bitch slapped by the Loki familia.
Yeah, but like it's like how is this going to be solved? That's the question.
I don't know.
How do we solve this? The other monsters are going to come up eventually, which are going to fight. I'm assuming you're going to have to try and help Belle fight off the Loki familia because you're getting lead in the Gargoyle and a few other monsters coming up.
The thing is, I don't know if they will.
They rushed after Belle.
Yeah, but are they going to run out into public?
I think so because even Lead at one point mentions like not wanting to go to the surface. He's like, but I don't have like a choice because of this. And the guy's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll go with you.
Okay.
And then maybe when everything seems lost, our Tauren boy is gonna come up because he might be able to take on the familia.
I mean,
he might take
on one or two of them.
He'll make a big difference.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like they said,
I'm pretty sure that Ganesha family had a few level 5s as well, at least.
Yeah, like the chick who got hit initially was a level 5,
and that was an instant knock.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a big deal. He pops up, maybe helps out long enough for the whole situation to get solved. Maybe Oranos is gonna come down to try and like be like, hey, listen, y'all know me. I do that guild thing that you guys like.
I mean, I don't think Oranos can do that, though. I don't think he can say, like, hey, yeah, by the way, I've been harboring monsters. Fuck off.
They need to solve this thing somehow. We only have, like 4 or 5 episodes left?
I think that'll be enough. I don't think we're going to get that second arc we usually get from Don Machi. But
no, I think it's just going to be this, because we need a few people fighting, and we need a big resolution. Because once again, this is a world event, if you will.
The thing is, even if the big Tauros guy shows up, like, because going from level 5 to 6 is an exponential growth. Eyes, Finn, Riveria, and Garrett's together? I don't think.
No, but I just want to know what the hell his deal is right now, honestly. I'm just like, hey, like, there's obviously something special about him. He's not just a strong monster popped in. Like, he didn't say anything. They mentioned him at one point in the episode. So he's got to have, like, something special about him.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be tied to one of two things. He's either going to be tied to the Minotaur that Belle fought, or he's going to be tied to something with Argonaut, because something I know from the other backstory of Argonaut is that he's also referred to as the Fool. So I think that ties into what Hermes said earlier.
That makes sense. It also could just be he was like the first monster, like the first talking monster, which is why he's so strong.
True.
Because they haven't mentioned yet who was like the first one. They mentioned that at some point they were just it like happened because like the dungeon made them, but it hasn't mentioned like which is the first monster.
Yeah, so if he's just gotten stronger from fighting other monsters this whole time.
That and maybe like because he was the first one that kind of developed since maybe he doesn't have like the communication skills. Like we've already seen some of these monsters who are intelligent not be able to talk. So he might just not have the skills to communicate because he was like the first one. He wasn't like perfected, but he could also just be strong as shit.
Yeah,
like he might just be a brute. Yeah, but yeah, I'm more excited to learn more about him than I am to learn about what's happening with Belle.
I mean, he's definitely going to play a role.
Yeah, he's got to. We don't know where he went. Right, he was called away by some sort of howl, maybe to be like, hey, come over here to like the Gnosis area. Shit's going on.
Yeah, I mean, he might just be going to break out all the monsters that are captured because they said they captured what was it, subjugated most of the monsters. So I feel like at least one of them would have said something. But
I don't know. I'm just pumped for the next episode now because I want to see fucking what goes on with Belle, and I want to see what goes on with him. Because the Belle shit's big, obviously. If he's gonna,
that's world changing.
Yeah, that's it. He's gonna have to fight many of the people that are way too strong, mixed with like his friends and stuff like that, people he likes. But yeah, I love when main characters go crazy. It doesn't always have to be like they pop off and go crazy strong. That's also always fun in like anime.
Yeah.
But like he didn't go like crazy strong. He just went like a little bit insane. He's just like I have no choice. He's like what? He's like too many. He had no power over anything in this situation.
Yeah, and he's not the type who could leave someone out to dry even if they are going berserk. So.
Yeah, we knew that already. He's already taken risks previously in the show that put his familia in a bad spot because of something like it. Basically, his inner morals, his ideals, that kind of stuff, kind of got in the way. He's already done that before, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, but like I have to."
Yeah,
and they're all like, "Yeah, we get it, Belle. Like we're cool, we get it."
Yeah, like the entire arc with the Ishtar family was dealing with that. So.
Yeah, that's what it was all about. And that's just leading us to this point. We already know what kind of person Belle is. We knew he wouldn't just let her be there and be killed. So
yeah, we've also seen him go off against stronger opponents more than once.
But one of the questions I had, and before we finish talking about this, is that when the Loki familia shows up, they specifically mentioned that she doesn't have an orb on her head or like a thing on her head.
I think it's something to do with they go berserk if it's removed.
But like, what? Is it just her specific? Because a lot of them don't have marks.
Well,
on
it's
their
her
head.
specific race, the Vivra, or
Yeah, but like,
because you have to remember there are monster tamers in this world.
yeah, but
So-
it just seems weird because it's like, yeah, but like, if it was a monster, if it was one of those monsters normally that did have a crystal on its head, it's still a monster in your town.
Yeah.
All monsters are bad to these familiars, right? They don't know about these talking good ones.
I think because maybe they'd gotten the subjugation order that they were told just to subjugate the monsters, not kill them.
Maybe.
They were going to, but then they're like, this one's uncontrollable.
Maybe
so.
Ornos is like, hey, don't kill a monster with a crystal on its head, because he's like, there you go, Hestia, I got your familia. That way they won't kill your friend. And they're like, yeah, no crystal, we're good. That's not the one. And Belle's just sitting there with it in his hand, like, no.
I mean, that would just make Dix that much more of a dick. So,
Properly named. It's actually Deeks.
I mean, you can call it whatever you want. I'm calling an apple.
But yeah, a good episode. Very excited for the next one. I'm just excited for everything that was set up in this one, where it's going to go to.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because it's going to be hard to talk his way to that one. And we'll look forward to that coming next Friday. Be sure to check out the next episode if you want to hear us talk about that. Next up on the list is King's Raid Episode 7.
The Target of Hatred.
Okay, now this is exactly what we asked for. The last episode we complained about the shitty character building of the mage.
Yeah.
And then we were like, please do not give us a Roy character building yet, or if you're going to do it well, or like slowly put it in. And I was like, it'd be really cool though if we got an episode about the Dark Elves.
Yeah, and then we got the Dark
And
Elf
then we got the
episode.
episode entirely with the Dark Elves. We didn't even get to see Castle or the crew. It was entirely Dark Elf focused. It started with a little bit of backstory as the main character and his sister, mom being killed in front of them by obviously Knights of Orvelia, whatever the hell the
I mean, all we know is that it's a dude in armor. We don't know if it was a knight or a bandit or.
It seemed like it was a knight.
Probably,
they
but-
specifically mentioned at one point that like the Kingdom of Orvelia killed their mom or whatever.
I mean, for all we know, they're just being prejudiced themselves.
I mean, maybe, but we get their backstory a little bit there. We already know, obviously, we could probably guess because of the one lady, but like, yeah, because I guess this would have been like a second or 2 or 3 generations later than when this all happened.
Yeah.
So they've just been gone after constantly since this.
Yeah, it was either a raid or like a false accusation or something like that.
Like there were some parts in this. Obviously, we get a little bit more of the character of some of the other Dark Elves too. I can't remember their names. Obviously, we're barely introduced to their names most of the time. His name might have been Ham or something with 2 M's.
I think the younger guy's name is Taff or Taft.
Tam.
Maybe.
I just keep thinking Ham with 2 M's. And it's not that. Well, yeah, so they, they're helping the kingdom out right now. They're still doing it for their bad motives. Obviously, we
Yeah, but no
know
one knows that.
Yeah, we know as the viewers, it's all about kind of getting revenge on this kingdom. But the townsfolk, most of them still don't like them, but they have helped them. And then there's like this nice scene of him going to pick up bread because they've already showed us that they like some bread.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like, "Oh, how much for these?" He's a little like rude. He's not going up and think, "Hey, how's it going, guys?" He's just like, it's straight to the point. It's like, "Hey, how much for these?" And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, you guys took out some of those demons, right?" He's like, "Well, on the house, like you can have it." And then the assistant, the girl, maybe the daughter of the guy comes up and they're like, yeah, like take it, help us out. And then he looks back at all the humans there and some are looking at him with smiles. Some are like, raising their glass to him, stuff like that because they helped out. And he's just like, oh. And then he walks away and he's like, oh, in his thought process, maybe not everyone's that bad. He walks into an alley and then a bunch of dudes
First
with
of all, why
knives.
walk down the dark alley?
I don't know. He's like, maybe he was trying to avoid the people, being like, hey, I'll be really nice getting to know issues if I walk down these dark alleys.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like rule number 1, if you're in a town that hates you by default, you probably don't want to be alone in a dark alley.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, too, in the episode, we already know something's going to happen because a lot of it is about the main dark elf. He gets introduced to the princess who's like, hey, I lead like the knights. I want you to join the knights for when all this shit happens. Like we know like our astrologian or whatever the hell she's called, she's already predicting that this is the, king or the evil guy is going to come back when this eclipse thing happens. So we want you to join the knights. And he's like, okay, yeah. And then he starts seeing something in her. Obviously, he's like, hey, she's not exactly like everyone else, like,
yeah, I mean,
yeah, she's a princess, but she's like, she said thank you at the one point, or she said I'm sorry to him for the attack.
All we got is that she has basic human decency, and
which is what they're not used to. So
yeah, true.
But yeah, then you get the classic dickbag noble. He's a possible suitor for the princess, and he hates the dark elves. He calls them rats.
Yeah,
and all that kind of stuff. He's just what we've come to expect from the nobles. Even he's like the little boy who goes to the dad and the rest of the nobles, be like, let's get these guys out of here. They suck, and they're all like, yeah, like like we need them. So we'll get rid of them once the demons are gone. And then he's just like, I don't like that.
Daddy.
Daddy. So that's when he sends his assassins after, and those are the people that attack Ham. whatever the hell his name is.
I feel so bad because I knew his name right up until I came here today.
I know there's a double letter at the end. I don't know if it's double M's or not. It could be Tam. It could be Taff with 2 F's. It could be anything.
I'm pretty sure it's one of those two.
Next week I'll know because I'll have all the names written in my notes. No, I won't. But yeah, they attack him, and then even there, one of them mentions, he's like, oh, like, he basically refers to him as like a rat kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
And then that's when he tells the leader of the Dark Elves, he realizes immediately who was behind this attack. He gets the dagger, and that has the same symbol as the pocket watch he was shown earlier, which affirms it to him.
How shitty of an assassin are you?
Pretty bad.
When you're carrying the goddamn calling card of the guy who hired you.
I mean, they're nobles. They're pretty dumb, according to the show. So
I mean, you're not wrong.
Spoiled idiots. But yeah, then he takes his sister in the night, and he goes and he finds the noble and his dad, and he basically does some scare tactics on him. He's just about to kill him, and then the father comes and is like, "Oh no, please don't kill him! Like, we won't do this again. My son won't say anything about you again." And he's just like, "Okay, yeah." So they leave. He's like, "Yeah, that noble won't bother us anymore. In fact, he'll probably listen to us." So it was nice getting the Dark Elf episode.
Yeah,
like I wouldn't say tons happened. A lot of it was just about a few of the Dark Elves kind of learning. That there are still bad humans, obviously, which is what they expect, but there's also some good ones. Like the bread lady rushed to the help of the one guy and tied up his thing at the end.
Oh yeah,
tied up his wound, and then the very last shot in the episode, I think, was shown the bleeding like handkerchief that was used as he kind of reminisces, where he's just like, "Oh, like they're not all bad though." And the guy's like, "Oh."
If they pull some sort of romance between him and that girl, I wouldn't be shocked.
I also would not be shocked. I would kind of expect it. And then same thing with the main Dark Elf and the princess.
Yeah.
Because it's already hinted at, like, they had a connection. One of the reasons that the noble hated him, not only because he was Dark Elf, but also had a little bit of jealousy, probably how the princess was treating him, because he is a suitor for her. So yeah, I'm not going to be super surprised at that, but obviously it has more implications, especially for him. His whole point is to take over this town and destroy it.
I mean, we're going to get one of two things. We're going to get something like Berserk, where he's going to do something with the princess and then get run out of town, or he's going to repeat the thing that happened with Castle's father, King Kyle, and the Dark Elf there, and just going to screw everything up again.
We'll see. Maybe it all ends up happy for them, though.
I mean, let's hope.
Yeah, we still have the question of how long this show is going to be, mixed with, like, if it's going to be a one season kind of show, like if the whole, because it almost seems like this would be a show where the whole plot would be resolved in one season.
It does, but I think it's based on an ongoing game.
Yeah, but I'm sure the ongoing game has, like, then after the Demon Lord attacks, there's 6 more Demon Lords coming out or something.
I mean, true, yeah.
And they could do that with the show too, but they might leave it at a semi-ambiguous ending to be like, there could be more seasons if they come up with a new plot, or there might not be.
Yeah, that is doable.
But we still got what we asked for. We got a Dark Elf episode, a little bit of character development for a few of the Dark Elves. A few of the other ones had nothing, The one guy's always aggressive. We know that. I
mean, there's only so much you can do in one episode, so...
Yeah, but I'm at least glad we got a little development for the sister, the main character, and then the younger one.
I mean, did we get much for the sister other than knowing that her mom got murdered?
I mean, that's enough. That's character.
I mean, I guess that's
she's less aggressive than some of the other Dark Elves.
I mean, true.
She kept specifically mentioning, like, oh no, don't do anything. Don't be aggressive at all. That's just gonna get us in more shit.
Don't fuck everything up, basically.
Yeah, so we know she's not like the one guy there who's just like, yeah, lucky I wasn't there, and she's like, yeah, we are lucky you weren't there because this plan wouldn't have worked.
True.
But yeah, we got exactly what we asked for. Nothing crazy, not tons of plot to talk about. Like, no new big developments with Castle and their seal unlocking and that kind of shit.
Yeah, but we need something like that every now and then.
Yeah, this was a good break, especially after the disappointment of the last episode where I cared nothing about the Fire Witch. If we go directly into the next one and it's Roy's backstory episode, I don't want it.
It's just lazy writing.
I just want a little bit at a time to introduce. I want him to be the secretive character who learns small little details. I don't need them to tell us everything in one episode. But yeah, same thing. I assume we'll just wait to see that next week. I don't think there's much else to talk about from this.
It'll be interesting to see where they go.
Yeah, so. maybe we'll get a second Dark Elf episode in a row. I doubt it, because I don't know how much more they can currently talk about with them. But
I mean, I don't know. They might be able to do a little bit more with the whole... I want to say the whole racism issue, but I feel like that's just a very basic thing to deal with at this point.
Yeah, I think they'll take a break, and then maybe they'll come back after there's been a new development in the world, like demons are attacking more, or like it shows them kind of helping out with the defenses and shit like that. Yeah, I'm interested, because that's obviously that's an interesting plot that isn't as mainstream. Like, obviously the main character going on a journey to get stronger to defeat the Demon Lord, that's obvious as shit. But the story of the Dark Elves in town who want to destroy this town, but then maybe slowly getting some relationships with humans that they don't hate, building up that inner conflict of like, hey, like, is this the right thing? You're like, we've been treated shitty all our lives, but like, does that mean that we should treat them shitty after? Like, that's the kind of interesting plot that is honestly probably better than the other plot. So,
do you perpetuate the cycle or do you start fresh?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's the whole thing is like, if this mission succeeds, people find out about Castle, maybe he'll get to be the new king. He's obviously he doesn't show to care about stuff like racial difference and stuff like that, which is good. Even like the princess, for instance, she obviously shows that she's better than all the other nobles when it comes to that, and eventually she could be in charge, or tag team in charge with whoever becomes the king. So there's this possibility for change that isn't just based on them destroying the entire kingdom, but like, are they willing to take the chance on that maybe happening when they could, maybe for sure destroy the kingdom? That's the kind of conflict that sounds more interesting, and that whole anime could be about that, but it's not. So we'll have to see, I guess, next time we get a Dark Elf episode, if we get a little bit more of that kind of grown, which will be cool.
It'll be good to see where they go. And there was one other thing we didn't mention, actually.
What's that?
We got to see the I can't remember her name, but the chick with the claws, the mage. You remember the one who came in when oh god, what's his name? After the night guy lost the fight and got pulled off to the mage's tower. And in the second episode, dark hair, said the goddess's blade was a curse.
Oh, you like the evil chick?
Yes.
Maybe. Yeah, we saw her?
Yes.
Where?
She walked into a room with a skeleton, and that's the mage guy that's supposed to open the portal, and he came back.
When the fuck did this happen?
Did you not watch after the credits?
No, I never watch after the credits.
You goddamn idiot.
Are you supposed to?
There's been something in every goddamn episode.
Oh, yeah, well, I did not see that.
Okay.
Maybe the next episode would start off with that in case they're like, hey, maybe
hopefully.
someone missed this. Because, I didn't know that. You're like describing this girl. I'm like, no.
What the hell, man?
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I didn't see it. Ooh, that sounds big. So it's a skeleton guy?
Well, he's dead, and then he comes back, like he fully reanimates.
And that's the guy who summons the demon
Supposedly,
lord?
yes.
So did his name start with an M?
Yes, move out doll or something like that.
That sounds right. Oh, yeah, I remember that scene. That was crazy.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, we'll wait to talk about it more next week. If you have any thoughts on this episode of King's Raid, let us know. You may tell us that the Dark Elves are more interesting than the regular people. I agree. Next up is Jujutsu Kaisen, which is probably still, I'd say, probably the biggest anime on the list.
Yeah, it's the most shonen. So
yeah, the most shonen. We've discussed it before. We don't explicitly talk about shonen, but people are still really interested in it.
It's a big season for it.
Yeah, it's one of the definitely the more hype shows of this season, especially for being a new show, not like a second season.
Yeah,
which is pretty big because a lot of the other ones like on our list would be like Don Machi. Even like before that, when we had like ReZero, those were like continuations, Fire Force. But this one is first season. It's probably the biggest out of all the first season shows we talk about.
Yeah, it's the make or break season.
Yeah, and this one is episode 7, and the title name is
it's simply named Assault.
Assault. Okay. Well, I guess someone was assaulted.
Yeah.
So it didn't go the way that we guessed from the last one. But to be fair, a lot of it was technically just like world building in a sense.
Yeah.
Teaching us more about how the fights against curses go, because we learned about the domain stuff.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they figured out a little bit more of how they want their battles to work, and this is them introducing it.
Yeah, I will 100% say again, the fights still looked really good.
Yeah.
And the domain shit was really cool.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then the Kakashi guy was kawaii as fuck.
I know, those eyelashes, what the hell?
His character looked so different than all the other designed character. His character, like some elements of him looked like almost like a berserk kind of character with like the super pretty eyes and the eyelashes. And he looked so feminine when he took off his like mask. Like it's almost like his character's face changed. Obviously the hair dropped down. So he didn't have the spiky hair anymore. It was like the flat hair. Whole different character when he dropped the thing.
He belongs in a different genre looking like that.
I assume he just wears the mask, like the eye covering, just because he's just too kawaii.
I feel like there's
people won't take him seriously, right?
There's probably some reason for it. It's probably got something like why Kakashi covers his mouth.
Well, yeah, Kakashi just covers his mouth because, like, why not? I
guess, yeah.
That's literally his reasoning. Is he was for the long time he was part of the Anbu Black Ops, which they wore masks anyways.
Yeah.
But like they have mentioned multiple times, and they did show him without a mask, but like it's anime, so he doesn't look any different than normal people. But in Naruto, he's always mentioned as being like one of the most handsome people. Like people who have seen his face say he's excessively good looking, which this guy too, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
but
they're really nailing it home with this one.
But he does take his mask off specifically to use his domain, and his domain was dope as shit. It was basically like human transmute, like opening up the circle in like Fullmetal Alchemist. Have you ever seen it? Where like they gain like infinite knowledge. Like it's like fucking the earth showing all the information's going in the one guy's head. He like can't contain it. I'm just like, wow.
It's like when you know everything, you can't do anything.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, this is a lot. But just the imagery of that scene was all really cool though.
Yeah, it was trippy. It felt like it was a different show.
Yeah, and he looked like he was a different character. His art style didn't even look the same as their art style.
Like, I suddenly understand why he says he could beat Sukuna.
Yeah, he looked pretty OP. But yeah, I mean, like, so we thought, I think our estimation last week is that like the fight was still gonna be tough for him in like a sense, but then I thought he was gonna be like trapped in the prison thing, which they did mention this, like the
I
Q
guess
prison,
he didn't
but
give it to him.
I guess he didn't have it because he knew he was gonna fail.
Yeah,
and then I was like, yeah, like the main character's gonna have to get there, to help him out, kind of thing. But the main character did get there, but not for that.
Yeah, he literally just teleported.
Yeah, he's kicking the dude's ass so bad that he's just like, oh yeah, 1 second, and he's just like, he hits him one point, then he teleports,
has a conversation.
Yeah, grabs is it? I can't remember. Is it Ryuji or just you? I think is it Ryuji Itadori?
I just call him Itadori, honestly.
Okay, well, he grabs Itadori from his TV training. We've already seen that apparently Itadori's made good progress. He's already, he's like, oh, we're gonna have to raise the level on that bear because it's like getting too easy for him now. But he brings him there just to teach him about domains for like the curse fights. So it starts off, he's like, oh, well, to get this guy to use his domain first. So then the cool volcano lava man uses his domain. It's basically like using the what are they called, like the field cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, where the whole field changes.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. Yeah.
So it changes to that guy's domain, which is all like basically the inside of a volcano. It's all magma and rocks and that kind of stuff. And then the guy's like, oh, here's the ways to wipe out a domain. And he's like, oh, you can do this, or he's like, or you can just overpower it with your own domain. And that's where he pulls down the mask, get to see his pretty eyes, hair falls down, and then he uses this thing. It's just fucking the world and eyeballs and just shit everywhere. And
what was it, Infinite Expanse? Or
something like that. That sounds like that could be right.
Like, god damn, man.
But yeah, then he just kicks that guy's ass. He just like fucking, what does he do? Like punch its head off, rip its head off, I think. He just grabs him by the head and
yeah, he just rips his head off.
Yeah, so he wins the fight, and then he's like trying to get answers out of the guy. He's like, oh, like, tell me who sent you, or I'm gonna, what is he says what's it called? The name of the movie with the stuff where they do the things on the people and send them.
What?
What's this? The exorcism. He's gonna exorcise him. So he
there's so many different ways you could have gotten there.
So he says he's gonna exorcise him. He's like, well, I'm gonna exorcise you anyways, but you might as well tell me. And then you get the little vision of the guy again that we don't know.
Yeah.
And then one of the other curses. He looked more like the curse that we saw before, except for he had like the horns and stuff. Much more curse looking guy. He's like, you can save him if you want. And then he hops down. He's got like a very weird curse power.
Yeah.
He makes a bunch of flowers that then make the people lose the will to fight.
Yeah, which something I noticed about him after this is that he has trees growing out of his eyes that are covered in flowers.
Yeah.
So he's definitely got a theme going.
He's got a theme, but anyways, he makes that to lose the little fight, and then he very quickly goes in, saves Volcano Man, and then even when Gojo discusses going after him, he's like, oh, like he's already gone, and like he's hiding his sense really well. He must be pretty strong. Yeah. Like he's way stronger than this guy. So yeah, and then he goes back, and then you get to see the ending is the guy I'm assuming is still probably going to be an ex like Jujutsu Tech guy,
probably, yeah,
or like an ex,
because he specifically said he can't have them see his face.
Yeah, so he goes through his like apartment into the door, and it takes him to like an alternate dimension beach where then he's talking to a guy who's all like sewn up.
Yeah, he's the guy from the opening, actually. I think so.
I've still never watched the opening.
God damn it, man!
I've only seen the beginning where Itadori's sleeping on a bus and water's coming up. I don't want to get stuff spoiled for me.
I don't think other than this guy's face, I don't think there's any spoilers.
But yeah, so like there's questions about who is he, who are they in general. We still know obviously they're trying to start a war on the Jujutsu sorcerer people, and he's like we still know the two conditions, incapacitate the strongest one and then get Itadori on their side. So then I think we're gonna get pretty close now to probably it's just gonna be another episode. I think it's gonna be one more full episode of like training mixed with other stuff before we get to this like school arc. Or do you think we're just gonna go right in?
I think we're gonna go straight to it. They're probably gonna do a summary of the rest of the training because they showed that he was doing pretty well with it.
Well, he also said the best part of the end. He's like, okay, he's like, you're gonna do that, and you're also gonna fight me.
True.
So
Actually,
he's like,
yeah, thinking
he's
about
like,
it.
I'm the strongest, and you're gonna fight me constantly. So I'm like, oh yeah, those are my favorite kind of training arcs where you're
Yeah.
fighting the strongest guy, so you come back being way stronger than people.
Yeah, we're
think.
probably gonna get another training arc thinking about it. I think he'll do some domain training too,
I love,
which will be interesting.
I love when shonen characters pop up after a while and just way stronger than they used to be. I know that's just every single shonen.
I mean, yeah,
That's why like time skips are so dope. But like when he pops into the school and A, he reveals he's alive, that's gonna be cool. And then B, when they get to like the fighting part and he's way better than he was before, and we get to see the characters that knew him be surprised.
Yeah,
That's like my adrenaline right there. That's my
the
drugs.
big thing is they already established that he was probably the best of them in hand-to-hand combat. He just didn't have shit for cursed energy.
Yeah, exactly. But now he's gonna be even better in hand-to-hand combat, and he's gonna have cursed energy.
Yeah.
So you know when whatever his name is it Megami? The spiky black-haired guy on the team. It's close.
Okay,
I think that's one of his names. It's
Yeah.
either Megumi or something along those lines. Takeshi Megami. I don't know his name. I'll write it down.
I feel like
It might be close to that.
I think it was Takeshi because I remember thinking it's like that feels really shonen.
But yeah, like when it's revealed he's alive, that's gonna be hype because they're gonna see that, be like, how the hell are you still alive? They're gonna be happy, but like had to remain cool, obviously. And then when he gets into his first fight, and it's gonna be against someone who's like cocky, thinking they're really good,
Yeah, he's just gonna
like
bitch slap them.
he's gonna like insta hit them. You know, it's because like it's that moment in shonen youth explosive power show how much they've grown, and instead of having that cool long drawn out fight, which is cool a lot of times, that's where you get the best fights. But sometimes you need that like look how much I've grown insta hit, where like someone who's supposed to be pretty strong. I'm hoping it's like I don't know how that would happen. You know, it's like a first round and the guy wins the first round, and then the second round he just comes in and gets bitch smacked, and it's like because they've shown how strong this character is, just to then show how weak they are compared to the main character. But for that, we need to first see the main character in the first round. But
I mean, true.
Maybe he's so good he skips around.
I mean, maybe they seed him.
Maybe he gets the bye for the first round, gets to put in another one.
I mean, plus there's also the fact that he's the one with Sukuna's fingers.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're even letting him in the tournament.
I mean, to be fair, they think he's dead.
That's true, but I mean, like someone in the tournament officials has to know if his name's going to be in there.
Yeah, it's just gonna be like and other first year students. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
we don't know how this tournament arc's going to work yet. I'm just assuming it's like it's a 1v1 combat up a bracket, but
Yeah,
it might not be at all. It might be like the classic tuning exams where there's different stages and they ask for different things in each one. One might be a scavenger hunt, you know, before you get to the 1-1 combat, which is typically last.
Yeah, I mean, for all we know, it's just gonna be a battle royale.
It could be a battle royale. That's true. They could do that too. I don't know if they will, but I mean, that's how God High School started.
I mean, exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm interested. The episode was definitely good. The fighting looked fantastic. That one guy was really cool. He had very nice eyes. It was it's Gojo, I think. I don't remember what it is. He had his other name, was a very common name as well, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what it was.
I'm having a really hard time retaining names in this series for some
Because
reason.
I kept saying Gaja before because it was like the Monster Hunter monster, but it's Gojoou,
Gojo.
I believe. Yeah, but I don't remember. I feel like they've said his other name a couple times, and it's also pretty common. It's not Kakashi.
I think we both need to work on this because I keep wanting to call him Kakashi, and I know it's wrong.
I mean, he's basically Kakashi. Like, come on.
I mean, yeah, this is definitely got a blend of like the big three from Shonen. So
Yeah, I mean, the only difference is Kakashi's definitely. I think Kakashi is arguably maybe tie with Guy Sensei for the strongest out of the leaders in the squads.
even then, they're powerful in very different ways.
Yeah, but for the most part, it shows their competitions and they're typically tie. But like this guy is the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer, so he's stronger than Kakashi was. Even like, you know, Kakashi's power even wasn't really his. As you get
there's
into
a lot
it
of
later.
borrowed and copy power.
So he's like even better Kakashi. But yeah, his art style, I swear to God, was so different than all the other characters. He had that like extremely like his skin got more pale. His eyes were not drawn like any other characters. That's for sure.
It feels like they got a different artist.
Yeah, his eyelashes were very different. That's why when I said like Berserk, it's because he had a very feminine appearance, which was very Berserk in like their art style.
Yeah, almost the
Pretty much
porcelain look.
Every character that wasn't Guts was feminine as shit.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
It was an interesting episode. The domain shit was cool. We got a little bit more lore as to how they fight, you know, because up to this point we've only really seen them either like physical, you know, hand-to-hand combat or like whatever their curse power is. But this is like a whole new thing. This is like how to be stronger in your own element. I don't know. I think that I'm gonna come out on a limb right now and say his domain is gonna be Sukuna's room.
Oh, there's not even a question.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that's what's gonna happen with this cool skeleton and shit in there.
Even I'm gonna call him Kakashi one last time. Says like he's just going to develop Sukuna's curse powers over time, like his techniques.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no way in hell he's not getting the domain.
Yeah, especially since it's already been established as a place. I was like, and if you try to think what else could it be, you have no other information what else it could be at this point, other than it's going to be that. So
yeah, unless it's something to do with like the water in the bus at the start of the opening. It's
maybe,
like the same place, but it's full of water.
I feel like that's more just like a symbol.
It
symbolize
is,
of like getting in over your head really fast with his life kind of thing. Yeah, great episode though. The fighting was still fantastic. Excited for next week, especially if we are starting the tournament arc.
It is going to be a hypey Friday.
Because I want that tournament arc. It's going to be a very hypey Friday. Even talking about the next show, which is the last show on this, will also be pretty hypey.
Yep.
Which is Fire Force Season 2, Episode 20.
Yeah.
Once again, I have mixed opinions on many of the Fire Force episodes. There were some parts I really liked and some parts that I didn't like necessarily, and some parts that I was very surprised at.
Yeah, I honestly have some really mixed feelings on this one.
Yeah, so going right off, so they showed no Maki at all. I was confused about that.
Yeah, they just left. Like, is she actually just gone? Did they write her out?
So that made me think that it was more of what I didn't want, which is that they're going to mix in her coming back arc with everything else that's going on.
Yeah, she's going to come in and save the day.
Yeah, instead of them finishing whatever's going on with her and then getting into the more important stuff. Because like I don't think she's cool enough to make me want to see her at the same time as like seeing Shinra do a final fight or something.
Yeah,
you know. So that was one thing. But then anyways, it starts off with we get to see a couple of like the team ups. Like who's in. I mean, they don't really show very much anyone. They show Shinra. Like in his like they're like, oh, this is Shinra Kusakabe from 8.
Members of the 8 plus generic firefighters.
Yeah.
So Fire Force members, I guess.
Yeah. So a lot of it is just like the plot in general is just showing them in the Nether. Nothing actually happens. If anything, it's a bunch of them fighting random infernals, mixed with that the necromancer girl's down there doing some stuff.
Yeah.
And she has her group of what the hell do they call them? The Purple Flame or something?
Purple Haze.
Purple Haze. And then so she's got that going on. But like that's pretty much, if I had to just give you an overview of the episode, that's the plot. But there's a lot of obviously little details.
Yeah.
The one to me that was stupid was like they keep showing when there's like the one part where it's the one squad there where it keeps showing like these characters be like, yeah, when I get home from this, we'll get married.
Yeah. Here's like, a death flag.
Yeah, and then it's like they just show them followed by immediately them getting killed, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck are Obi and the captain of 2 doing? They're doing nothing as these men are just being massacred.
I mean, to be fair, what the fuck can Obi do?
Stuff? He's done stuff before.
Yeah, but it's a fucking army.
Squad, you think if it was his squad there, they would be getting insta-killed? Probably
no, because his squad is competent.
That's true, yeah. And then but even the captain of the 2nd, he flies by the one point to save the dude for a second. He's like, oh, thanks, captain. And then the dude gets like stabbed from behind.
Yeah.
I'm like, you fucking suck, captain. If this was any of the main characters, they would not let their friends die this easily.
I mean, to be fair, they're just cannon fodder. They're trying to reestablish the Dark Dome.
Well, that's a terrible idea. I mean,
know.
not as the showmakers. It's a terrible idea for those people to bring so much goddamn cannon fodder.
I know. I think they assume
Squad 8 knows that there's someone who could bring dead people back.
I mean, yeah, but they probably didn't assume that everyone would die that fast.
Maybe. I mean,
they probably assumed like, hey, you guys are competent.
Yeah, you guys are the military squad, right? You guys should be the good fighters.
I mean, that's the logical aspect, but if you think about any anime or TV show, the military is the one who gets their asses kicked to show how strong the enemy is.
Yeah. So a lot of it was that. And then like pretty much we saw nothing of Shinra or Arthur really. Like they showed the little second of Arthur being like, I'm Arthur, the king of this, and the guy's like, yeah, okay, like we're supposed to go along with him. It'll be easier.
I do like that. He had the Arthur handling manual. It's like, say, go along with him and he'll just buy into
Arthur handling and feeding manual. It had feeding in there as well. It's like, only feed him every 4 hours. Don't feed him after midnight.
Apple slices, no sugar.
Yeah, but most of it took place with obviously Juggernaut, and I don't remember what the one guy's name is, and I don't have to. And then whatever her name is.
Tamaki.
Yeah, okay, so his power. His power gave him like
thermal vision.
Thermal vision. That does not mean that he should be that OP with guns.
I think he's just good.
Yeah, he was too good, okay? And the other thing is, the guns in this show are dramatically different. One, people are shooting infernals doing nothing. His guns instantly exploded everything they touched.
The thing that was weird is that it shows him firing, and there's like fire like on top of the guns. Like, does he have a second power? Is Juggernaut doing this? Like,
get not told to us and probably never will be, because that's what I was like, yeah, whenever it comes down to it, when a main character is using a gun or a character we're supposed to care about, it's insta-killing every infernal. This guy's throwing it around, shooting everything, one-shotting it. We see other squads of people in the same group, in the exact same squad too.
With the same gun.
Shooting and doing nothing. Bouncing off the infernals.
20 people laying down, suppressing fire on one infernal, and it's just bouncing off them doing nothing.
And the thing is, when they first show him just decimating on the infernals, we're like, okay, yeah, but he's like, he's a fire force. He's special fire force. He probably has powers that are making these bolts stronger.
Yeah.
And then they tell you what his power is, and it's like, yeah, he's got thermal vision. That means he can like see everything, including he can see like where Juggernaut's body is to avoid hitting him. I don't even want to get into that right now. And then, but I'm like, but why are his bullets so good?
Maybe he just knows where to shoot them.
They should just look like heat everywhere.
I mean, yeah, but there's also the fact that they talk about how he's just forgetful to the point that he forgot he had a power.
That's true. So obviously you're like, okay, yeah, this guy's really good. He's just taking out those infernals. And then someone walks up. They were wearing basically the same outfit as the evangelist.
Yeah.
It seems already pretty obvious, though, for us that they're part of this purple haze or purple flame, whatever the fuck they're called.
I think they established purple haze like 30 seconds before this.
Yeah, so they walk up and he's just like, oh, like,
this one's different.
Yeah, and then he just immediately gets his head cut off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, where's his secret other power that makes his head come back on? Because it's Fire Force.
You want to know what I bet's going to happen?
What?
They're going to pull some shit like they do with Juggernaut, and he's going to get back up and have forgotten that his head got cut off. He's okay.
I don't know. There was blood.
I mean, there was blood. That doesn't mean shit.
I guess. I think he's going to stay dead.
I wouldn't be surprised because it seemed like they were trying to build the stakes here.
Yeah.
And killing a quote-unquote named character.
Yeah, we're at the end of the season, right? We're in the final arc, so shit needs to get real. There needs to be stakes, and then most of it after that is then what's her face?
Tamaki and Juggernaut.
Yeah, Tamaki walks up to be like, oh, like Juggernaut's a pussy. I gotta do this fight. She's like, that person was so fast that even him with his eyes couldn't stop it. I'm gonna lose. But he mentions there that she has like a good resistance to fire.
Yeah, she could take a lot of abuse. They mentioned this with Rekka before too.
Okay, yeah. So really useful. Luckily, the fire whip doesn't cut her; it just cuts all of her clothing, as typical.
I mean, yeah.
As they're like, hey, what if we just put all of our fan service in one character?
I mean, even then, this is a very specific type of fan service, and I don't know if I was comfortable.
Now, I'm
going
to say two things real quick. Okay, one, the member of the Purple Haze group was named Orochi. Yeah. She had her snake fire whip. And she be thick, okay?
yeah, the fucking Medusa whip.
If she lives through this, she could become a fan favorite. I'll tell you right now.
I think she's already a fan favorite among anyone who can draw.
She's got. I was gonna say kind of like Medusa from Soul Eater, obviously.
Same artist.
But she had like the blonde hair. It was like cut here, then like covered one entire half of her face.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at one point she like pulled the cloak off for a second. A lot of curves going on there. That's going to be a fan favorite.
I mean, I feel like every female character in the show's got some curves.
I know, but that was more than all the other characters. I'll say that right now.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, I guess Machi doesn't count because she's jacked. And
I think the only one I can really think of would be Hibana, Captain of the Fifth.
Yeah, and even she started out as a villain.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, they make the villains really curvy, I suppose.
Yeah, because even oh god, what was the redhead who was with Vulcan?
Lisa. I think that might be her name. I think it might be.
You don't sound very convinced, but okay.
I'm pulling up my phone as we speak about this. Yeah, I mean, she was only a villain for a little bit, though.
I mean, she's still curvier than anyone else in the 8th.
That's true, but she's also an adult. I guess they all are. I'm gonna look.
I mean, yeah, if you're allowed to pick up a gun and fight monsters, I'm sure you're legal age. Okay,
Lisa,
yeah.
I was correct.
I guess I was thinking of her last name, the Isabiri, or.
Yeah, it was Isaribi. I'm gonna look up Fire Force Orochi right now.
God damn it.
I want to see if things are already out.
Yeah, you have fun having that in your search history.
It's just a lot of pieces from the manga. No surprise. People haven't been that fast yet. Yeah, that's how I knew, because they have the weirder looking hoods. The Evangelist has the circular hoods. They have very triangle hoods.
Yeah, they got the pyramid head thing going.
Yeah, having a full white outfit with a very pointy hood. Normally, people like to stick away from that. But
I mean, to be fair, it is Japan. I don't think they have that same annotation.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that's
like not a whole lot of presence of the clan over there.
Yeah, so we don't have tons on Orochi yet online. That'll be changed soon though, because it only came out a couple days ago for sure.
Well, we know what Cam's going to be searching for later tonight.
But yeah, I mean, basically what happens is she gets immediately
slapped.
Well, yeah, so she gets like wrecked in a sense, like she's kicking Tamaki's ass. Like Tamaki's just getting destroyed. It's not cutting her like it is, but even for a second she's like, oh, like if it cuts won't work, I'll just fucking impale you. And
yeah,
she just puts
eventually it'll go through.
She puts her hot ass sword whip on her chest, just of course slowly burn away the clothing too, obviously.
I mean, yeah.
And as she she's gonna push in, and that's where finally and Assault decides to be a big boy. And we not only, I mean that literally too, because not only do we get tons of flashbacks to him talking to his mom and him talking to his fellow team members dead, who constantly keep referencing his size. Listen, that's sizes. Just because he's big doesn't mean he has to be strong, okay? They're like, hey, you can't be a coward. You're big. And it's not his fucking fault he's big.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he says, like, just because it's a small fire doesn't mean I can't be scared of it.
Yeah, he's like, oh, fucking listen, that can be a small bullet. It can still go in my head. Like, it doesn't really matter, right?
True.
But yeah, I mean, he obviously steps up, and there's still a shit ton of questions. What the fuck's going on with his body?
Yeah, they never explain that, but I'm not gonna lie. I actually really, this is probably what saved the episode for me is Juggernaut.
Well, yeah, I mean, 100%. I don't think they ever will explain it. I don't know if they need to. I think it's just like his funny thing because it doesn't really make sense for it to be his power because we've seen his power. And
his power is making fire weapons.
His power is just a shit ton of power.
Which I don't know how that differentiates him from that other guy who makes fire weapons.
I think that he is just probably like the strongest when it comes to like pure damage.
Yeah.
Thus being called the Juggernaut. But you really got to see why he was called Juggernaut at all in this. Like literally, the Orochi chick kept like cutting his hands off, but they just kept instantly growing back.
He did not fucking go down.
But yeah, like a couple of the times she did hit like his real body, and like he bled a few times, and you're like, okay, like
he's getting torn up.
But like the last scene where he like makes like a nuclear fucking weapon out of it, and he's like pushing it towards her, and she keeps cutting off his hands until the last one's his actual arm, and I'm like, what the shit is the science here? But anyways, his arm fucking grabs it and just fucking hits it right into her face.
Oh god, yeah.
And then it comes up with the title. It's like execution, like complete or something like that. And then it shows like Tamaki like looking up as he like smiles back as like the explosion goes off. That was hypey.
Oh my god, yeah. And the subtitle, what was it? Weapon of Mass Destruction Juggernauts.
Yeah.
Like, my god.
That was a real. That's like the Fire Force moments that we're waiting for. So it was a real hypey moment. Definitely, the episode was saved 100% by Juggernaut.
Oh god, yeah. If it had ended 5 minutes earlier and just kept going with what it was doing, it would not have been a good episode for me.
Yeah, Juggernaut. So because we've seen him in his real body a few times.
Yeah,
he's got a normal body.
He's a lanky motherfucker.
And then the first couple times we saw him, he was obviously in a Fire Force suit, but it was like bigger, but like it wasn't that crazy.
It wasn't as exaggerated.
His hands, then a couple of times now we've seen him, he's just fucking enormous. He's like takes up half the hallway, and I'm like, what's going on? But I don't know if they'll explain it. But yeah, the end where like he grabs it with his real arm finally at the end.
Oh man!
And like literally it shows like the animation as he like hits her in the face and her entire face like moves. And then like he turns back and like smiles as it explodes. And I'm like, man, is this? It's supposed to be like hinting that he's also gonna die from this. He obviously won't, but he'll be very badly injured.
They are not gonna build him up this much and kill him off.
Yeah. But even like Tamaki is right there, gonna take a little bit of the explosion blast. But
I mean, who cares?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty exciting though. I'm assuming we're going to see more members of this Purple Haze or Purple Flame, or whatever, fight other main characters.
I mean, they're going to fight Obi. They're going to fight the Lieutenant, Arthur, and Shinra.
It's definitely going to be the Lieutenant and Maki's brother. And through a fight, they're going to come to common terms, and Maki's brother going to accept him, and it's not like
what's he going to do though?
Nothing. Get exploded like last time. Like
he has no powers and he's got one arm.
Do we know he has no powers? Have they mentioned that?
I mean, I feel like he probably would have used them before he got blown up.
He could also be a second generation though.
I mean, maybe.
Once again, we don't know exactly if generations mean what generation means.
Is Maki's second generation, right?
Yeah,
she can't create flame, but she can manipulate them.
Yeah. So she has to use fire to make her little sputter and flutter, or the fuck their names are.
Sputter and flare.
That's it. But yeah, so that was the episode was literally just saved by Juggernaut 100%. The end was so hypey. We're gonna see the repercussions from that. I don't think he's dead. I don't know if
he is out for the count.
I don't know if she's dead either. Orochi, it's possible because it literally did say execution complete.
If they don't kill her with that, I'm gonna be.
But they
sad.
can't kill her though. She's a fan favorite. You can't,
dude, just because she's thick.
You can't kill off a fan favorite in the first episode they show up.
God damn it, it's Mai from Overwatch all over again with you. God
I mean,
damn
even
it.
like think about the fact of like Assault, right? Assault was like her when he was introduced, and Assault came back.
I mean, okay, yeah.
They turned him just into a comic relief. Maybe they'll do the same for Orochi.
What? She's like scared of weapons now because of
Maybe
him?
now she's like super into Juggernaut.
I mean,
that she just like, and it's funny because he only wants like Tamaki, and she keeps like coming back and like Juggernaut. He's like, no. Like,
I hate that.
It's possible.
That could definitely happen.
It'll just be a reverse Assault. But yeah, a good episode just because of that. We're gonna get many more fights, and then we have to finally see. Like, I'm still excited to see who the hell Shinra fights at the very end.
Oh man, he's either gonna fight the Necromancer chick, or I think Inka's gonna come in.
Yeah, that's possible. Or even then, like we might get more information about the Amaterasu lady that's in there. We might get Sho back for all we know. I don't think they'll finish it with another Shinra Sho fight. But I mean, you never know. He could finally beat Karan. That's possible because they've kind of been hinting that multiple times throughout the season of him fighting him and not being able to do anything.
Yeah, true. I mean, if he, the fact of the matter is, if he gets some grace, it's a one-hit kill.
I would imagine he just fights fucking all of them. Imagine he gets like the blessing and he just fights like the fucking Inca, the Necromancer, and Karan all at one time. That would be hypey. But they won't do it. But that would be, and he's just like even ground kicking their ass. That'd be good.
I mean, the thing is, like, they established Sho to be pretty fucking powerful.
Oh yeah, he's like the leader of them. He's like the strongest.
So I mean, him fighting 3 of them when he was able to match him before is pretty viable.
Yeah, if he got the blessing though. And the question is, why the hell would he get the blessing? Like,
why the hell did you get the blessing the first time?
I don't know. The evangelist was bored. Like, yeah, let me see these brothers fight. Like, that's entertaining. But yeah, it was a good episode. I'm very excited for next week. I just want Fire Force to get back up to a nice high, which I think these last 5 episodes will do.
If they can ride what they did with Juggernauts all the way through, yeah, it's going to be a hypey last 4 episodes.
Now, are we just going to see more of the 8th Squad kick-ass, or are we going to get some more named characters in the second? We're going to have to see the captain fight.
I mean, I'm assuming, yeah. But the thing is, if they just name another character and off them, it's going to kill everything they've done.
Yeah, I think we're only going to get to see the captain fight, and then I think we're going to get the lieutenant and Maki's brother are going to have to fight someone, which is going to be a fun little team up because they're not powerless as far as we know the lieutenant has powers, but Maki's brother might too, so that might be a weird little mix up if they're both because he's second generation.
Lieutenant's second generation too, yeah.
So it might be fun just to see them because obviously they're both like more like trained combatants compared to
True.
weird fire magic users, so that could be interesting. We've seen him kick ass with his fucking gun before though.
Yeah, he's probably the one who takes the thermal aspect of this to the extreme.
Yeah, why was he not given those eyes? That would be much better on him.
Well, to be fair, he'd have to use what he does with the guns or the eyes. It's one or the other, I think.
Well, I don't know. That one guy used both.
I mean, apparently, yeah.
But yeah, that's it for Fire Force. It was definitely a good episode. Excited for next week. If you also love Orochi, comment down below. Orochi Best Girl 2020. And yeah, that's everything we have to talk about this week. That's about it. Good week overall. Is definitely one of the better weeks we've had. Other than a few, I don't know. There a couple mediocre, then a couple high. I don't think we got anything specifically low. But
nothing really dragged it down, so it was definitely a good week overall. I mean, there was a few other series that I caught up on as well, but I don't think you're up on yet. So
there's so much I'm behind on. I want to continue watching the Gymnastic Samurai, whatever it is. I haven't even watched the last 2 or 3 episodes of Kuma Bear.
Oh man,
Sleepy Princess.
Those are those last 2. They had some really good episodes.
By God's grace, or it is the Last Crusade. Even one of the guys who commented in the last episode was like, oh yeah, I've been watching this. It's really good. And I was like, yeah, I was also watching that because I was kind of interested in the Romeo Juliet element of it. I was like, but I haven't caught up because a lot of it's just been like me either reading my books, listening, or playing my PlayStation 5, and then just making sure I catch up on these ones right now.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, between work, prepping for D&D, and the other anime I have to watch, I'm not caught up on Talentless Nano or
I'm not even close on Akudama Drive.
See, I am caught up on that one.
Are you actually? Wow.
It gets better the more you watch.
I knew it would, and that's I liked from what I watched. It was like an action-packed anime. It was one of those things where the only other ones I think I'm caught up on is obviously Haikyuu. No questions there.
Yeah, that's the one I have to catch up on.
I'm still caught up on Tonikawa. I'm still loving it.
Yeah, it is a good one. I'm caught up on it.
It's just still one of those nice, enjoyable watches. And then I'm 1 episode behind on Sports Climbing Girls.
Okay. See, I haven't been watching that, but I am caught up on Higurashi though.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I would still like to catch up, obviously, on Kuma Bear, and Akudama Drive would be a big one. There's a couple of them that I really want to catch up on, where maybe this week I'll try to just fit in an extra episode or 2 while I'm doing stuff. Especially because the thing is, at least after we record this until Friday, we have a lot of spare time for anime watching.
You've got Noblesse on Wednesday.
Yeah, and that's it on the list, right? So in between that time, I'll try and catch up on at least Kuma Bear, because I was enjoying that as another nice relaxing one.
Yeah, other than that, I think Talentless Nana came out today.
A lot of it now is just my day, right? Because Friday's the anime day, but it's also as I said earlier, my wife's off those days. Tuesdays are D&D day.
Yeah.
Friday I also go watch The Mandalorian with some of my friends. It comes down to a lot of times. I mean, some of this might be changed if we do go back on lockdown, which is possible.
Yeah, they are threatening because we're a yellow area.
Yeah, we have in our area we have more active cases than we did when we shut down last time. But yeah, so it's possible, and that might eliminate some of the stuff like watching shows with my friends and stuff like that. So that maybe that'll give me more anime time. But I mean, I'm just still excited. Someone did comment about like what some of the shows they were wanting to watch in the next season was, and they mentioned Log Horizon. I was like, oh fuck! I was like, Log Horizon.
I didn't even hear about that one.
Yeah, someone commented with that, being like, yeah, I'm really pumped for the next season of Log Horizon. I was like, fucking Log Horizon, holy
God
shit!
Damn it! That changes everything. God,
there were some other ones they mentioned on there that were pretty cool too. I'm also like, have you watched the trailer for Sword Art Online Progressive yet?
Not yet, because I'm still not caught up on Sword Art.
You don't need to be. So Sword Art Online Progressive is what I mentioned before about the manga writer rewriting it. It's a movie.
It's the Redux.
It's just a movie, but the whole movie is just the first floor.
Holy shit!
So yeah, so I'm pretty excited for that.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, a lot of it's like Asuna focused too, in like a sense, but like since now they have a lot more time to show both their perspectives.
I mean, who gives a shit about Kirito?
I mean, a lot of people. I still love Kirito. People always complain about him. I'm like, nice, just exactly what he's like, the perfect shonen character.
I mean, yeah, he's very much the self-insert power fantasy.
Yeah, but he starts off as a dick though. That's the best part. He gets better as time goes on, but it's like it's hard to remember sometimes how much time actually went on. It's like he spent 2 years living in a world where like death was actually a thing, you know? Like I mean, like,
I was gonna say that's kind of a thing here.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's like you either actively go out and risk death all the time, or you just kind of chill. Are you gonna say that's also the thing? Okay, whatever. But I'm still excited for the movie though. I've mentioned that before when the manga artist first talked about it. He's like everyone else. He's one of those things where he wrote that like 20 years ago when he first wrote Sword Art Online. And now he was embarrassed by how bad his writing was. I'm like, yeah, like people hate Sword Art because it's got some bad writing. It's like, but even the writer knows that. And it's like, have you ever went back and looked at something you did 20 years ago? I was like, listen, I would have been 7, and my drawings probably sucked when I was 7.
Yeah, I mean, what's the rule? Like any creator, if they look at something they did more than 5 years ago, they absolutely hate it. If they say otherwise, they're a liar.
But like Sword Art was still one of the things that started the isekai genre, and it was still to me like the first season, at least the first half of season 1 of Sword Art, being an MMO player, I was like, man, that's like the dream. Like that's dope. Everyone, it's a power fantasy where like you're like, oh, I wish I was Kirito, being the strongest guy in the game. Yeah, every time I freaking start an MMO, I'm like, I'm gonna be Kirito in this one. I'm gonna be the best. I'm like, oh wait, no, I don't have all the time in the world.
Yeah, and even if you do, like that 1% drop is not gonna favor you.
Yeah, but I am still excited for this though because I want to see it done right, and it's interesting taking an entire movie just doing the first floor instead of like the 2 episodes I think in Sword Art.
I don't even think they went that far. It was like an episode and a half.
No, it would have been 2 because the first episode it ends with Kirito like leaving Klein, and then the second one is him it starts with him joining that party that's going to go beat the floor or the boss of floor 1. Yeah, and he's got to team up with Austin and do the switch thing. But yeah, I'm excited for that. We got a trailer. I don't know if it announced when it's coming out. I saw a trailer the other day for a new Netflix anime too. I don't remember what it was called or what it's about, but I was like, I'm always down to try.
Okay, I think the only one I've actually actively seen recently was for Horimiya, which is going to be just a romance slice of life. So
that'd be cool.
This one I was a big fan of the manga. So
I mean, other than like Tonikawa, there's not really any other real slice of lives. Like you could argue some of them are mixed genres with like fantasy slice of life, but when it comes to just active either romance or romance slice of life, it's really just Tonikawa right now.
Yeah, you could argue Kuma to a degree, but it's kind of like an isekai slice of life.
Yeah, and it would be like the same with like By God's Grace kind of thing. Yeah. It's kind of slice of life, but slice of life if you lived inside of a video game world. So
the boring parts of Sword Art almost.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool. If anything else comes out, we'll obviously watch it. And same as always, if you know something else that's coming out for the winter anime, like the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, just let us know. Oh yeah. Just like that last guy did in the comments. If there's something, obviously we already know some shit like Attack on Titan, and if Log Horizon is coming out, we'll be talking about that.
Oh god, yeah.
It's Log Horizon. It's fantastic.
I'm gonna double check that as soon as we stop filming. And if it is coming out, that just made my day.
And if it's not, that guy's dead to us because he got our hopes up for nothing.
Oh man, that'd be heartbreaking again.
But yeah, maybe we'll do a little more research finally. I still have not seen any videos from popular anitubers yet about the 2020-2021 winter season.
Yeah, because we're still in that kind of like they're just starting to announce the big ones. So.
Yeah, so as those videos come out, I'm going to watch those, and we'll probably get into more discussions about what we'll be watching in winter season when it comes out. Yeah. But I think for now, that's it. So if you managed to get through this episode or any specific parts, once again, just feel free to like and subscribe, leave us a comment, all that kind of shit, just to help us get the algorithm going, get a couple more views.
Yeah, any type of interaction's appreciated. Anything,
all of it. Tell us we're garbage. As long as it's a comment down below, we'll comment back. And I
mean, hey, it works.
Comments are comments. Other than that, guys, once again, I have been Cam.
I'm Jimmy.
And take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the anime. Peace.
Peace.